Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey through Washington, D.C.'s most haunted apartments. From historic boarding houses to grand mansions, these buildings remind us that the past never truly leaves. It lingers in the shadows, whispering its stories to those who dare to listen. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more haunted tales and paranormal adventures. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the walls themselves hold the memories of those who came before. The old stone house in Georgetown is more than just a relic of colonial architecture. It is a living witness to centuries of history, conflict, and unexplained phenomena. Constructed in 1766, it stands as the oldest building in Washington, D.C. that remains on its original foundation. A fact that draws both history enthusiasts and those intrigued by the paranormal. Over the years, the house has become notorious, not only for its age but for the strange and unsettling experiences reported by visitors and caretakers alike. Walking up to the old stone house, one is immediately struck by its sturdy, unadorned facade. The rough-hewn stones and the simple, symmetrical design reflect the practical sensibilities of 18th-century builders. Yet there is an undeniable aura of mystery surrounding the building. Even on sunny days, the interior seems to hold a shadow, a lingering presence that cannot be explained by light or architecture. Longtime guides and volunteers have reported that the house possesses an almost palpable energy, one that intensifies when the rooms are empty and the echoes of footsteps fill the wooden floors. Visitors often describe sudden drops in temperature, sometimes noticing chills in areas where no windows or vents could possibly account for them. These cold spots are frequently accompanied by a feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes are tracking every movement. Some have recounted the sensation of someone brushing past them in narrow hallways, only to find the corridor empty moments later. The house's narrow staircases and small rooms amplify these experiences, creating a sense of claustrophobic unease that many first-time visitors cannot shake. Whispers are another commonly reported phenomenon. These are not the loud, easily distinguishable voices one might hear in a crowd, but subtle, indistinct murmurs that seem to come from nowhere. Guests have described hearing their names called softly, or fragments of conversation from eras long past. Often, the whispers seem to echo in response to a person's movement, fading when they stop walking and intensifying as they explore further. This auditory anomaly has puzzled both historians and paranormal investigators, as it seems to exist independent of any acoustical explanation. Sightings of apparitions have also been reported throughout the house. One common account describes fleeting glimpses of figures dressed in colonial attire, walking silently through rooms or standing at the end of hallways before vanishing into thin air. These figures are usually seen in the periphery of vision, prompting a sudden turn of the head, only to find nothing there. Some visitors have had more direct encounters, claiming to have seen a ghostly woman seated by a fireplace, staring silently as if observing the present through a lens of centuries past. The presence of these spectral figures contributes to the feeling that the old stone house is not just haunted by memory, but by the lingering spirits of those who once called it home. The history of the old stone house may help explain its unusual activity. Over the decades, it has housed countless families, witnessed political upheaval, and survived wars that reshaped the city around it. Each of these events left an imprint on the structure, both physically and, perhaps, metaphysically. Some researchers suggest that traumatic or emotionally charged events can create a sort of echo, imprinting energy onto the spaces where they occurred. The old stone house, with its long, uninterrupted history and its role as a domestic sanctuary during turbulent times, may be a repository for such energy. Caretakers and volunteers have often reported personal experiences that defy conventional explanation. One longtime guide recalls preparing the house for a public tour when they felt a sudden, cold hand brush against their shoulder, leaving them frozen with a mix of fear and awe. Another volunteer described turning to greet a colleague, only to find that the person they had seen had not yet entered the room, leaving a lingering impression of presence without form. These accounts, repeated over decades, have cemented the house's reputation as a site of persistent supernatural activity. Visitors sometimes attempt to rationalize these experiences, attributing them to imagination, the creaking of old floorboards, or drafts sneaking through centuries-old masonry. While these explanations account for some phenomena, they fail to fully capture the intensity and consistency of reports from those who spend time within the old stone house. There is a sense that the building itself is aware that its walls hold memories and its spaces retain echoes of lives once lived. The old stone house does not merely contain history. It seems to preserve it in a form that is felt as much as it is seen or heard. The house has also become a focal point for paranormal enthusiasts and investigators. Equipment designed to detect unusual electromagnetic activity and sound anomalies often registers spikes in various rooms, particularly in areas associated with frequent sightings or cold spots. While skeptics dismiss these measurements as artifacts or interference, the consistency of the findings over time adds another layer of mystery. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, it is undeniable that the old stone house inspires awe, curiosity, and, for some, a genuine sense of unease. Despite or perhaps because of its reputation, the old stone house remains a popular destination. People are drawn not only by the opportunity to glimpse colonial history, but by the possibility of experiencing something beyond the ordinary. Its continued preservation allows visitors to walk the same floors as generations past, to stand in the same rooms where whispers and shadows might still linger. For many, the house represents a bridge between eras, a tangible connection to the lives, stories, and perhaps spirits of those who shaped the early history of Georgetown and the nation's capital. In the end, the old stone house stands as more than just the oldest structure on its original foundation in Washington, D.C. It is a repository of history and mystery, a place where the lines between past and present blur. Whispers in empty rooms, fleeting apparitions, sudden chills, and the persistent feeling of being observed are reminders that some elements of our history refuse to remain silent. Visitors leave the house carrying not only memories of colonial architecture and historic preservation, but also a sense of having brushed against something beyond the ordinary, a quiet acknowledgement that the old stone house is alive in ways that cannot be measured or fully explained. Its walls tell stories that go beyond textbooks and historical plaques, stories that continue to echo in the hearts and minds of those who enter, leaving them to wonder, what if anything still lingers in the shadows of this enduring Georgetown landmark? The Omni Shoreham Hotel, located in the Woodley Park neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is renowned for its elegance, historic charm, and its role as a hub for political and social gatherings. Yet, amid the grandeur and luxury lies a darker side, particularly centered on Suite 870, a room that has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted spaces in the city. This suite, with its tragic past and unexplained phenomena, continues to draw the curious, the brave, and those who are drawn to the paranormal. Suite 870 is a spacious, well-appointed room, designed to offer comfort and privacy to its occupants. However, over the decades, it has become infamous for a series of untimely deaths that occurred there in the hotel's early years. While official records are often vague, local lore suggests that several individuals, guests, and long-term residents alike met tragic ends within its walls. These events, whether accidental or otherwise, have left an enduring mark on the suite, one that is said to resonate with a chilling presence to this day. Guests who have stayed in Suite 870 often describe experiences that defy explanation. The most commonly reported phenomena are sounds, footsteps echoing across the polished floors when no one is there, doors opening and closing on their own, and the occasional soft whisper that seems to originate from an empty corner of the room. Some visitors claim to have heard the faint hum of conversation or the sound of furniture being moved late at night, only to find the room perfectly undisturbed. These auditory anomalies are subtle yet persistent, creating an atmosphere of unease that many find impossible to ignore. The sense of an unseen presence is another hallmark of the suite. Guests have described waking in the middle of the night with the feeling that someone is standing near the bed, watching them. Others have reported shadows moving across walls, or glimpses of figures in the periphery of vision, vanishing when directly observed. Even seasoned travelers and hotel staff, who are accustomed to the building's creaks and groans, have admitted to feeling a disquieting energy in the suite, an intangible weight that suggests they are not alone. Physical sensations are also frequently reported. Cold drafts appear inexplicably in the middle of summer, chilling the air around the bed or seating area. Some visitors have noted that lights flicker, sometimes accompanied by the sensation of a slight push or brush against the shoulder, even in the absence of any other occupants. These experiences are often fleeting but leave a lasting impression, convincing many that Suite 870 is more than just a room. It is a space in which the past refuses to remain still. The tragic history of the suite is often cited as the source of its haunting. Historians and paranormal enthusiasts suggest that violent or untimely deaths can create lingering energy, a sort of imprint of human emotion and trauma on the physical space. In the case of Suite 870, the repeated association with misfortune has amplified this effect, creating an environment where ordinary events such as the hum of the hotel's ventilation system or the creak of floorboards can take on a supernatural quality. It is as if the room itself remembers the tragedies that occurred within its walls and continues to express them in subtle, unsettling ways. Staff members at the Omni Showroom Hotel have their own experiences to share. Housekeeping personnel sometimes report items being moved or shifted mysteriously, only to appear in different locations later. Maintenance staff have noted inexplicable spikes in electrical readings or strange sounds in areas where no mechanical issues exist. Even longtime employees admit that entering Suite 870 carries a peculiar sense of tension, a feeling that something unseen may be observing or even interacting with those who step inside. These recurring incidents contribute to the suite's reputation and ensure that its story remains part of the hotel's living history. Despite or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, Suite 870 continues to attract visitors. Some are thrill seekers, drawn to the idea of staying in a room with a storied past and a paranormal presence. Others are investigators, hoping to document phenomena with cameras, audio devices, and electromagnetic sensors. While skeptics dismiss these experiences as imagination or misinterpretation, the consistency of reports over decades makes the haunting difficult to ignore. Guests leave with stories that echo across the city, each adding another layer to the legend of Suite 870. The haunting of Suite 870 has also become a focal point for local folklore. Tales of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena are passed from visitor to visitor, often shared in hushed tones by hotel employees who themselves have witnessed or experienced the unexplainable. These stories not only preserve the suite's history, but also contribute to the mystique of the Omni Showroom Hotel as a whole, blending luxury, history, and the supernatural into a singularly compelling experience. Visitors who spend time in the suite often describe an emotional intensity unlike that of any ordinary hotel room. The combination of the building's historic architecture, the lingering energy of past tragedies, and the subtle yet persistent anomalies create an atmosphere that is difficult to define. It is a space where history, memory, and the unexplained converge, leaving guests to wonder what, if anything, remains of those who died there. Some leave with a sense of awe, others with lingering fear, and many with a deep curiosity about the unseen forces that seem to permeate the space. In the end, Suite 870 at the Omni Showroom Hotel stands as a testament to the enduring intersection of history and the supernatural. The sounds, shadows, and cold drafts that plague its visitors are more than mere coincidences. They are echoes of a past that refuses to remain silent. The room is a reminder that even within the walls of a modern hotel, the past can linger, and the stories of those who came before can still make themselves known. For those willing to stay, Suite 870 offers not just accommodation, but an encounter with history, memory, and something that may lie just beyond the veil of the ordinary. The Walsh Mansion, an imposing structure nestled in the historic DuPont Circle neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is known not only for its grandeur, but for the eerie energy that seems to permeate its walls. Built in the early 20th century, the mansion was once home to Evelyn Walsh McLean, a socialite and the last private owner of the infamous Hope Diamond. Her life marked by wealth, tragedy, and obsession with one of the world's most famous gemstones has left an indelible mark on the residents, and over the years, both residents and visitors have reported a host of paranormal phenomena that suggest the mansion may still be haunted by its storied past. Evelyn Walsh McLean was a figure of fascination and notoriety, her life entwined with the legend of the Hope Diamond. Acquiring the gem in 1911, she became its last private owner, unaware or perhaps undeterred by the misfortunes historically associated with it. McLean's life was rife with personal tragedy, including the death of her son and the decline of her family fortune. Events that some believe have left psychic echoes within the mansion. Today, visitors to the Walsh Mansion often speak of an intangible weight in the air, a sensation that the sorrow and turmoil of the past have imprinted upon the space itself. The reports of paranormal activity in the mansion are numerous and varied. Many visitors describe hearing disembodied voices, whispers that seem to come from empty rooms or from behind closed doors. Some claim to hear Evelyn's voice calling out, as if reaching through time to the present, while others report conversations that fade as soon as one tries to follow their source. These auditory phenomena often occur in the mansion's grand hallways and ornate sitting rooms, areas where the echoes of the past seem to resonate most strongly. The voices are sometimes accompanied by other manifestations, such as doors opening and closing on their own or objects moving inexplicably across tables and shelves. The mansion's residents and staff have often remarked on the sensation of being watched. In rooms that are otherwise empty, occupants frequently report a prickling awareness, as though eyes unseen are tracking their every move. Some have experienced the distinct feeling of someone standing behind them, only to turn and find no one there. These experiences are most commonly reported in the mansion's study and library, where Evelyn once spent hours poring over documents and mementos, and where the presence of the Hope Diamond may have left its own mysterious influence. Objects in the Walsh Mansion often behave in ways that defy logic. Visitors have noted that picture frames tilt slightly between visits, books slide off shelves, and small personal items vanish, only to reappear in different locations later. Some have experienced the chilling phenomenon of chairs rocking on their own, or the faint sound of footsteps pacing across the polished wooden floors. When the mansion is otherwise silent, these occurrences are not confined to one area. They appear throughout the mansion, suggesting a pervasive, unseen force at work. The tragic history of the Hope Diamond seems to add another layer to the mansion's spectral energy. Known for its alleged curse, the diamond has passed through the hands of kings, thieves, and collectors, each encountering misfortune or untimely death. Evelyn Walsh McLean herself endured heartbreak and scandal, and many believe that the combination of personal tragedy and the stone's dark legacy has left a lingering mark on the mansion. Some paranormal investigators speculate that the Hope Diamond acts as a focal point, concentrating residual energy from both human emotion and historical misfortune, which manifests in the strange phenomena reported within the mansion. Staff and caretakers of the Walsh Mansion have their own accounts that defy simple explanation. Longtime employees often speak of cold spots in the mansion, pockets of chilling air in otherwise warm rooms, or lights flickering without cause. Some have felt sudden brushes against clothing or hair, as though an unseen hand has passed by. Others have seen fleeting shadows moving across walls, shapes that vanish when approached. These experiences are often reported with a sense of reverence and caution, as if those who work within the mansion instinctively recognize the lingering presence of the past. Visitors, drawn by the mansion's haunted reputation, often describe a mix of awe and unease. Those who spend time alone in the rooms report heightened sensations, including a subtle pressure in the chest, inexplicable noises, or the sense that time has shifted. if only for a moment. Photographs taken inside the mansion sometimes reveal strange, anomalous blurs, light streaks, or shadowy figures that cannot be easily explained by camera artifacts or lighting conditions. For many, the Walsh Mansion becomes more than just a historical site. It is an encounter with the unknown, a direct link to the lives, tragedies, and spirits of those who once walked its halls. The mansion's architecture itself seems to amplify the supernatural presence. Its high ceilings, ornate moldings, and expansive rooms create echoes that carry sound in unpredictable ways. Narrow corridors and hidden alcoves contribute to the sensation that the building is alive, responding to the presence of those who explore it. In the library, for instance, the quiet murmur of voices is often most distinct near the tall windows where Evelyn once sat, reading letters and examining the Hope Diamond. In other rooms, small disturbances, a chair moved slightly, a book out of place, serve as constant reminders that the mansion's past is never truly at rest. Despite or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, the Walsh Mansion continues to captivate visitors. Some are drawn by the allure of its history, others by the mystery surrounding the Hope Diamond, and still others by a desire to experience the unexplained firsthand. Many leave with stories of whispered voices, fleeting shadows, or the uncanny sensation of being watched. For some, the mansion provides a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the weight of history. For others, it is a direct encounter with something beyond the ordinary, a brush with the unseen forces that continue to inhabit its walls. Ultimately, the Walsh Mansion stands as a unique testament to the intersection of history, wealth, tragedy, and the supernatural. The disembodied voices, shifting objects, and ever-present sense of observation are not merely coincidences. They are echoes of lives lived and lost, resonating within a space that has borne witness to both grandeur and sorrow. Visitors may leave the mansion without seeing the Hope Diamond itself, but they carry with them an experience that lingers, a subtle, haunting reminder that some places, no matter how elegant, remain forever touched by the past. The Decatur House, perched on Lafayette Square, just steps away from the White House, is a landmark steeped in history and shadowed by tragedy. Constructed in 1818, it became the residence of Commodore Stephen Decatur, a celebrated naval officer famed for his heroism in the early 19th century. Decatur's promising life was cut short in 1820 when he was killed in a duel, an event that cast a lingering shadow over the house. Since that time, the Decatur House has been the subject of numerous accounts of paranormal activity, drawing the attention of historians, visitors, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Those who enter the Decatur House often report an immediate shift in atmosphere, a sense that the past has not entirely relinquished its hold. The building itself exudes a presence that is at once stately and unsettling, with its elegant federal-style architecture belying the dark events that occurred within. Visitors frequently note a sudden drop in temperature upon entering certain rooms, particularly in areas associated with Decatur's life and death. These cold spots appear inexplicably, often accompanied by the sensation that unseen eyes are watching from the shadows. One of the most persistent and chilling reports involves sightings of Commodore Stephen Decatur himself. Witnesses have described seeing a ghostly figure, dressed in early 19th century naval attire, standing or moving within the house. Most famously, some claim to see Decatur gazing out from a bricked-up window, his expression solemn and contemplative, as though eternally mourning the life he lost. This apparition appears to be particularly connected to areas of the house associated with his duel and his private study, suggesting that the events leading to his death left a lasting imprint upon the building. In addition to spectral sightings, many visitors and staff have experienced tactile phenomena that defy explanation. Reports of being lightly touched by unseen hands, feeling a sudden brush against clothing or hair, or sensing a presence standing close behind them are common. These experiences often induce a mix of fear and awe, as the sensation of contact is unmistakable yet entirely intangible. Staff members have recounted numerous instances where they felt compelled to leave a room abruptly, convinced that an invisible force was present and observing. Unexplained auditory phenomena are also frequently reported within the Decatur house. Footsteps echo along the wooden floors when no one is there. Soft whispers seem to drift through corridors, and doors have been known to open and close without cause. Some visitors describe hearing the faint clinking of metal, reminiscent of naval instruments or the ceremonial garb of a military officer. Further linking the sounds to Decatur himself, these auditory occurrences often coincide with visual phenomena, reinforcing the sense that the house is alive with echoes of its tragic history. The bricked-up window is a particular focal point for paranormal accounts. Situated in the room that once served as Decatur's study, the window is sealed from the outside. Yet many claim to see a shadowy figure staring outward, as if yearning for a life cut short. Witnesses describe a vague outline of a man, sometimes complete with the uniform details of a naval officer, and occasionally report a sense of profound sadness emanating from the space. Paranormal investigators have noted subtle drops in temperature around the window and occasional electromagnetic disturbances, though no definitive explanation has ever been offered. Lighting anomalies are another common occurrence. Visitors often observe lights flickering without explanation, or chandeliers swaying gently in rooms where no draft exists. These effects, combined with cold spots and auditory disturbances, create an atmosphere of unease that is difficult to ignore. Many who spend time in the house describe a heightened awareness, a feeling that the very air carries the weight of past events, as though the mansion itself remembers Decatur's life and violent death. Over the years, historians have speculated that the intensity of the haunting is linked to the abruptness and violence of Decatur's demise. Duels, inherently acts of extreme tension and finality, may leave behind what some paranormal researchers refer to as residual energy, a kind of imprint of human emotion on the physical environment. The Decatur house, being the site of his final days and intimately connected to his personal and professional life, may have absorbed such energy, producing the ghostly manifestations reported for nearly 2 centuries. Staff members who work regularly in the house have also noted patterns in the activity. Certain rooms are more prone to disturbances, particularly those connected to Decatur's private quarters. Footsteps tend to follow predictable paths, often starting near the bricked-up window or study and moving through adjacent rooms. Objects occasionally shift position, and some report the sensation of air pressure changes or a slight tugging at their clothing. These phenomena, repeated consistently over decades, have contributed to the Decatur house's reputation as one of Washington, D.C.'s most haunted historic sites. Visitors are drawn not only by curiosity, but by the opportunity to connect with history in a profoundly tangible way. Walking the halls of the Decatur house is to move through layers of the past, where architectural beauty intersects with tragedy and the unexplained. Many leave with a lasting impression of having shared space with a presence from another time, whether that be the lingering energy of Commodore Decatur or the cumulative weight of the centuries of life, sorrow, and observation that the mansion has hosted. The Decatur house stands as a powerful reminder that history is not always confined to books or plaques. Its ghostly inhabitants, unexplained phenomena, and lingering energy transform it into a living monument where the past asserts itself in subtle and sometimes startling ways. From the bricked-up window to the echoing footsteps and cold drafts, every aspect of the house speaks to a presence that refuses to fade. For those who enter, the experience is unforgettable. A brush with the extraordinary, a glimpse into a life ended too soon, and an encounter with a haunting that has endured for generations. The Hayadams Hotel, perched prominently on Lafayette Square and facing the White House, is a landmark of elegance and history in Washington, D.C., known for its luxurious accommodations and sweeping views of the Capitol. It also carries a reputation that is far less publicized but equally compelling. The hotel is widely regarded as one of the most haunted in the city. Over the years, guests, staff, and even local historians have recounted a range of paranormal experiences. From inexplicable footsteps echoing through empty hallways to the sighting of ghostly figures lingering in the corners of rooms. The building's proximity to some of the nation's most significant historical events, combined with its own storied past, seems to have left an indelible mark on the property. The hotel's architecture itself contributes to the eerie atmosphere. Its classic early 20th century design, with high ceilings, ornate moldings, and wide corridors, lends an air of sophistication, while simultaneously amplifying sounds and shadows in ways that can feel uncanny. Guests often describe an immediate sensation upon entering certain rooms or hallways as though the building itself is aware of their presence, watching them silently from behind unseen eyes. This feeling of being observed is one of the most commonly reported phenomena at the haddams, and it seems to intensify during quieter hours, when the bustle of staff and tourists fades into the stillness of the night. One of the most frequent experiences reported by guests is the sound of footsteps. These are not subtle creaks or ordinary noises of an old building settling. They are the distinct sounds of someone walking, pacing, or even running along hallways and staircases, often in areas where no one else is present. Many visitors have described waking in the middle of the night, hearing these steps approaching and then fading, leaving only silence and a lingering sense of unease. Staff members have also recounted similar stories, noting that the footsteps sometimes seem to move in patterns, as though someone or something is following a specific route throughout the hotel. Doors opening and closing without explanation are another commonly reported phenomenon. Guests have reported bathroom or closet doors swinging open on their own, and in some cases, doors have been found wide open, despite having been securely closed just moments before. These incidents often occur during the late-night hours, further amplifying the sense that the hotel's history is somehow asserting itself in the present. Occasionally, guests report that lights flicker or dim inexplicably, especially in rooms near the upper floors or along the corners of long corridors, creating shadows that seem to move with a will of their own. Apparitions are among the most striking forms of paranormal activity observed at the haddams. Several visitors have reported glimpsing figures of former residents, staff members, or other indistinct forms. Some appear dressed in early 20th century attire, while others are more ethereal and shadow-like. In some instances, guests have reported seeing these figures briefly in mirrors or at the edge of their vision, only to disappear when directly observed. Staff members occasionally witness fleeting images of people walking through corridors, or standing silently in a corner before vanishing entirely. These sightings are often accompanied by the sensation of being watched or followed, further reinforcing the building's reputation as a haunted location. The historical significance of the haddams adds depth to its spectral lore. Its prime location, across from the White House, places it at the center of numerous political and social events. Diplomats, politicians, and other prominent figures have stayed within its walls, and the hotel has hosted countless gatherings, speeches, and receptions. Many of these events were marked by tension, triumph, or tragedy, and it is believed that the emotional residue of these moments has imprinted itself on the building, manifesting as the paranormal activity reported by guests. The notion that the hotel may be absorbing and reflecting the energy of its storied past contributes to the aura of mystery that surrounds it. Staff members have shared their own experiences, which often reinforce the reports of guests. Housekeepers occasionally hear footsteps in rooms they are cleaning, only to find them empty. Bellhops have recounted doors opening and closing without cause, and maintenance personnel sometimes note temperature fluctuations or sudden drafts in rooms where heating and air systems are fully controlled. Even seasoned employees, who are accustomed to the sounds and rhythms of the building, admit to moments of unease, sensing a presence or experiencing fleeting glimpses of something that defies explanation. Visitors often leave the haddams with stories that blur the line between history and the supernatural. Some report hearing whispers when alone in their rooms, faint voices calling their names or speaking in fragments of conversation from decades past. Others recount the unsettling experience of furniture shifting slightly, personal items moving from their original locations, or the feeling of being gently touched by an unseen force. These occurrences, subtle yet persistent, suggest a building in which the past continues to linger, interacting with those who now occupy its spaces. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and repeated paranormal accounts has cemented the Adams Hotel's reputation as a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary converge. Guests often find themselves drawn not only by the allure of its luxurious accommodations and prime location, but also by a curiosity about the supernatural. Staying at the Adams is, for many, not just an opportunity to experience Washington, D.C. at its most elegant. It is an invitation to encounter the echoes of history, to feel the lingering presence of those who once walked the same halls, and to confront the subtle, often inexplicable manifestations of a building alive with memory. Ultimately, the Adams Hotel stands as a living monument to both history and mystery. Its hallways and rooms carry the imprints of past residents, visitors, and staff, creating an environment where whispers, shadows, and unseen movements are part of the fabric of the building. Guests may leave with nothing more tangible than a sense of unease or awe. But for those attuned to the supernatural, the hotel offers a glimpse into a past that refuses to remain silent. From footsteps echoing along polished floors to fleeting apparitions and the sensation of being watched, the Adams is a space where history and haunting intertwine, creating an experience that lingers long after the lights have dimmed and the doors have closed. The old brick Capitol, situated on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., is a structure steeped in both history and legend. Constructed in the early 19th century to serve as a temporary home for the United States Congress, after the original Capitol was destroyed by fire during the War of 1812, the building has witnessed decades of political upheaval, debate, and decision-making. Its walls have been the silent observers of triumphs, controversies, and heated arguments. Yet beneath this historical significance lies a darker, less tangible layer. Over the years, the old brick Capitol has earned a reputation for being haunted, drawing the attention of historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and curious visitors alike. Visitors to the old brick Capitol often report an immediate change in atmosphere upon entering. The building exudes a weighty, almost oppressive energy, a subtle reminder of the intense events that have unfolded within its halls. Many describe a sensation of being watched, a persistent awareness that unseen eyes are tracking their movements. This feeling is most commonly reported in the former chambers and offices, areas where lawmakers once debated legislation, debated policy, or recorded the nation's history on paper and parchment. The combination of architectural grandeur and heavy historical significance seems to amplify the building's spectral presence, creating an environment in which the past feels vividly alive. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at the old brick Capitol is the sound of disembodied voices. Visitors have recounted hearing fragments of conversation, the echo of heated debate, or even the distant murmur of legislative proceedings long since concluded. These auditory occurrences often occur in empty rooms, hallways, or chambers, sometimes coinciding with the footsteps of unseen individuals. Guests have described the sounds as both eerie and compelling, a direct connection to the lives and decisions of those who once occupied the building. Staff members have also noted these voices, often reporting that they fade or shift when one attempts to locate their source, reinforcing the impression of an elusive presence tied to the building's history. Footsteps are another hallmark of the old brick Capitol's paranormal activity. Visitors frequently hear the rhythmic clatter of shoes along polished floors, pacing in hallways, or moving through rooms where no one is present. Sometimes the steps appear deliberate, as if a figure is moving with purpose, while at other times they are hurried or erratic, echoing off the walls in ways that heighten the sense of tension. These sounds are reported at all hours of the day and night, with some claiming that the steps seem to follow them, fading only when they exit a particular area. For many, this auditory phenomenon creates a chilling reminder that the building has not entirely relinquished the energy of its past occupants. The sensation of unseen contact is also commonly reported. Guests have described a light brush against their clothing or hair, a sudden chill along the spine, or a pressing feeling at the shoulder, as though someone is standing close behind them. These occurrences are subtle but unmistakable, leaving a lasting impression and contributing to the building's reputation as a space alive with residual energy. Staff members who spend extended time in the building often report similar experiences, noting that some areas, particularly former offices and chambers, seem to carry a heightened sense of presence. Apparitions have been reported on multiple occasions. Witnesses describe figures in period attire, lawmakers, clerks, and staff members from the early 19th century, appearing briefly in hallways, chambers, or near desks. Some are seen moving with purpose, while others are stationary, as if caught in a moment from centuries past. In particular, the image of a lone figure walking through the former Chamber of Congress has been noted repeatedly, often accompanied by the sounds of footsteps or the rustle of papers. These visual manifestations, combined with auditory phenomena and cold spots, create an unmistakable sense of the building as a living repository of memory and history. Temperature fluctuations and cold spots are frequently noted by visitors and staff alike. Even on warm days, certain areas of the building feel inexplicably cold, sometimes accompanied by a draft or the sensation of moving air where no ventilation exists. These phenomena often coincide with other reported activity, such as footsteps, voices, or apparitions, suggesting that the physical environment itself may respond to the lingering presence of the past. Many believe that the emotional intensity of the debates, decisions, and personal tragedies that took place within the old brick Capitol has left a lasting imprint on the building, producing the spectral effects observed today. The building's tumultuous history contributes to its haunting reputation. Constructed as a temporary seat of government during a time of crisis, the old brick Capitol was a hub of activity during a formative period for the United States. Lawmakers worked long hours under high stress. Decisions were made that shaped the nation, and personal rivalries and political tensions were commonplace. Such emotionally charged environments are often cited by paranormal researchers as ideal conditions for residual energy to manifest, creating echoes of past events that persist long after the original participants have departed. Over the decades, countless visitors have attempted to capture evidence of these phenomena using cameras, audio devices, and other equipment, while skeptics attribute many reports to imagination, acoustics, or the natural settling of an old building. The consistency of experiences over time is difficult to ignore. The same footsteps, voices, and apparitions are reported again and again, suggesting that the old brick Capitol continues to preserve and convey the essence of its past. Ultimately, the old brick Capitol stands as a testament to both the nation's history and the enduring presence of memory and energy. Its hallways, offices, and chambers are more than architectural spaces. They are repositories of the lives, decisions, and emotions of those who once occupied them. Guests leave with more than photographs and historical knowledge. They carry stories of whispered voices, unseen footsteps, and fleeting glimpses of figures from another era. In this way, the building remains alive, a bridge between the past and present, where history is not only remembered but experienced in a deeply visceral and sometimes haunting manner. The Octagon House, located in the heart of DuPont Circle, stands as one of Washington, D.C.'s most unique historic residences. Built in the early 19th century, its distinctive 8-sided design and elegant federal-style architecture have long drawn the attention of historians and visitors alike. Yet beyond its architectural charm lies a history filled with mystery and unexplained phenomena. Over the years, the Octagon House has earned a reputation as one of the city's most haunted residences, with countless reports from guests, staff, and visitors describing experiences that defy explanation. Originally constructed as a private residence, the Octagon House eventually became a boarding house, hosting numerous guests over decades. It was during this period that many of the building's most chilling stories began to emerge. Those who stayed within its walls often reported a sense of unease that could not be attributed to the normal creaks and groans of an old house. Guests describe sudden drops in temperature, cold spots that seem to follow them from room to room, and the unmistakable sensation of being watched. The feeling was persistent, as if invisible eyes were observing every move, and many visitors admitted to feeling a heavy, almost oppressive energy in certain corners of the house. Physical contact with unseen forces is a recurring theme in the Octagon House's haunted history. Numerous accounts tell of guests feeling gentle touches on their shoulders, hands brushing their hair, or a sudden pressure against their backs. When no one else was present, these experiences often induce a mix of fear and disbelief, leaving the individuals involved questioning whether what they felt was real. Housekeepers and staff members have also reported similar encounters, such as objects moving slightly, doors closing on their own, and furniture shifting inexplicably, all without logical explanation. These subtle, yet unmistakable interactions with the unseen contribute to the house's eerie reputation. Auditory phenomena are also frequently reported. Visitors often hear soft footsteps echoing across the wooden floors when hallways are empty, or the faint creak of floorboards in rooms they occupy alone. Some guests have described hearing whispers or faint conversations that stop abruptly when they attempt to locate the source. These sounds often seem to emanate from specific rooms, particularly the upper floors where the boarding house rooms were located, suggesting a lingering presence tied to the building's past residents and guests. Many paranormal researchers suggest that such auditory anomalies are the echoes of emotional energy left behind, replaying moments of daily life long after those who experienced them have passed. Visual sightings are less common but perhaps even more unsettling. Several visitors have reported glimpsing shadowy figures moving at the edges of their vision, only for these forms to vanish when directly looked at. Some claim to have seen distinct apparitions of former residents, sometimes dressed in the clothing typical of the early 19th century, wandering through hallways or standing silently in doorways. One particularly recurring sighting is of a figure descending the main staircase, vanishing just before reaching the bottom. These apparitions often appear in the same locations as other paranormal activity, suggesting a connection between visual, auditory, and physical manifestations of the house's haunting. Lighting anomalies also play a role in the Octagon House's eerie atmosphere. Guests have reported flickering lights in rooms where electrical systems are fully functional, as well as sudden dimming or brightening that cannot be explained by wiring or natural sources. Occasionally, shadows cast by these changes appear to move independently of the room's structure, creating an effect that many describe as unnerving. The combination of flickering lights, strange sounds, and sudden physical sensations often leaves visitors with the unmistakable impression that the house is inhabited by something beyond the ordinary. The Octagon House's history may provide clues to its haunting. Its transformation from private residence to boarding house brought numerous people into close proximity, each leaving behind traces of emotion, tension, or personal stories. The cumulative effect of decades of occupancy, combined with the building's age and architectural idiosyncrasies, may have created the conditions for residual energy to manifest. Many paranormal researchers suggest that old houses with rich histories, especially those that have hosted transient populations, are particularly susceptible to unexplained phenomena. The Octagon House, with its unique design and layered past, fits this description perfectly. Staff members who work or study within the house often corroborate visitor accounts. They report recurring patterns of activity in specific rooms, particularly where guest bedrooms were located during the boarding house era. Electrical disturbances, sudden cold drafts, and unexplained noises are consistent across decades of observation. Some employees have even noted that certain areas seem to respond to human presence, as though the house itself is aware of those moving through its spaces. These ongoing reports reinforce the Octagon House's reputation as a site where the ordinary and the paranormal intersect. Despite, or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, the Octagon House continues to attract visitors. Many come for its historical significance and architectural uniqueness, only to leave with stories of unexplained occurrences. Guests often speak of the lingering sense of someone or something nearby, of footsteps and whispers that vanish into silence, and of fleeting glimpses of ghostly figures. These experiences create a powerful connection between past and present, allowing visitors to feel the weight of the house's history in a deeply personal way. Ultimately, the Octagon House is more than just an architectural landmark or a historic residence. It is a repository of memory, emotion, and unexplained phenomena, from the flickering lights to the subtle touches, from whispered voices to shadowy apparitions. The house continues to bear witness to its own past. Those who step inside are reminded that history is not only recorded in documents and photographs, but also preserved in the very spaces where people lived, laughed, suffered, and departed. The Octagon House endures as a place where the lines between the seen and unseen, the past and present, remain forever intertwined, leaving a lasting impression on all who enter. The Old Howard House, situated on 9th Street, in Southeast Washington, D.C., is a structure steeped in history and shadowed by stories of the supernatural. Built in the mid-19th century, the house gained its name from a former occupant, a cantankerous U.S. Marine known simply as Old Howard, who lived there during the 1860s. Though the years have passed, tales of his presence linger, and the house has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the area. Visitors and residents alike have reported a variety of unexplained phenomena, from mysterious noises to ghostly apparitions, all suggesting that Old Howard has refused to leave the home he once called his own. Old Howard himself was said to be a stern, formidable figure. Accounts describe him as a man with a commanding presence, strict and often confrontational, yet fiercely loyal to those he cared about. He served honorably as a Marine, but his temperament earned him a reputation among his neighbors and acquaintances. When he passed away in the latter part of the 19th century, local lore quickly evolved to suggest that his spirit had not departed. The house, already a simple residence, became imbued with an aura that seemed to echo Old Howard's larger-than-life personality. Residents of the Old Howard House have long reported a distinct feeling of being watched. Visitors often describe an almost tangible awareness, as if unseen eyes are following their movements. This sensation can strike suddenly, whether in a quiet living room or along the narrow corridors of the home, and it leaves a lingering impression of unease. Many who have spent time inside describe a subtle tension in the air, a mix of anticipation and caution, as though the house itself is conscious of their presence. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported occurrences. Doors are known to slam shut without any apparent cause, and footsteps echo through empty hallways, often stopping abruptly when one turns to investigate. Residents have heard the creaking of floorboards in rooms that are unoccupied, or the faint sounds of objects being moved, despite no one being nearby. Some have even reported hearing gruff, indistinct murmurs, reminiscent of an older man speaking, though the words are often impossible to discern. These sounds seem to follow no predictable pattern, appearing both during the day and in the dead of night, adding to the house's eerie reputation. Physical sensations are also a common element of the Old Howard House's haunting. Guests frequently report sudden chills, cold spots in otherwise warm rooms, and the sensation of an invisible hand brushing against their shoulder or back. These touches are fleeting but unmistakable, often leaving individuals startled and uneasy. Long-term residents have described feeling pressure near the head of their beds, or the sensation of someone standing close behind them while they move through the house. Such experiences suggest an active presence, one that interacts with the living in subtle yet undeniable ways. Visual sightings of Old Howard himself have been reported on numerous occasions. Witnesses describe seeing a figure dressed in a period Marine uniform, standing in doorways, descending stairs, or simply observing from the shadows. Some claim to have seen him pacing the rooms he once inhabited, his expression stern yet solemn, a man tethered to the home by a life once lived. These apparitions are typically fleeting, appearing in peripheral vision or briefly in mirrors, only to vanish when directly observed. In certain cases, multiple residents have independently reported seeing the same figure. reinforcing the sense that Old Howard's presence is tangible and enduring. The history of the house and its former occupant may provide insight into these experiences. Old Howard was known for his strong personality, and his time as a Marine imbued him with discipline and an unyielding presence. It is said that the emotional intensity and character he exhibited in life have left an imprint on the home, manifesting as residual energy that continues to interact with those who enter. Paranormal researchers suggest that such energetic imprints are common in places with significant emotional or personal resonance, particularly when the individual in question held a commanding presence, as Old Howard did. Staff members and local historians who have spent extended periods in the house have noted recurring patterns. Certain rooms, particularly those associated with Old Howard's personal living quarters, are prone to disturbances. Cold drafts appear in areas where there is no ventilation, and lights occasionally flicker for no apparent reason. Some report objects shifting slightly, doors opening and closing, or the faint sound of a gruff voice issuing commands or warnings. These consistent patterns over decades suggest that the haunting is more than coincidental, pointing to a lasting presence that continues to inhabit the Old Howard house. Visitors often leave with stories of experiences that blur the line between history and the supernatural. Some describe the eerie sensation of someone standing behind them while they move through a corridor, or catching a glimpse of a figure in a doorway, only for it to disappear when approached. Others recount hearing Old Howard's voice, issuing quiet admonishments or muttered phrases in a tone both stern and familiar. For many, the house becomes more than a historical site. It is a space where the past feels alive, where the spirit of one man continues to assert his presence in the home he once commanded. Ultimately, the Old Howard house is a remarkable blend of history and haunting. Its walls are a repository of memory, a place where the life and personality of Old Howard seem to linger, interacting with the present in ways both subtle and striking. The footsteps, cold drafts, slamming doors, and fleeting apparitions are more than mere stories. They are echoes of a man who shaped the house in life and continues to influence it in death. Guests and residents leave with more than knowledge of the home's history. They carry an experience that lingers, a sense of having shared space with a presence that refuses to fade. The Old Howard house endures as a testament to the powerful connection between a place and the life once lived within it. A haunting that continues to intrigue, unsettle, and captivate all who enter its doors. The Surratt Boarding House, located on H Street, NW in Washington, D.C., is a building steeped in history, tragedy, and legend, constructed in the mid-19th century. It gained notoriety as the residence of Mary Surratt, a boarding house owner who played a significant role in the conspiracy to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln. Mary Surratt's involvement in the plot ultimately led to her arrest, conviction, and execution, making her the first woman in American history to be executed by the federal government. The boarding house, where she once lived and operated, has since become a site of fascination, not only for historians, but also for those intrigued by the paranormal, as countless reports of unexplained activity suggest that Mary Surratt's spirit may still linger within its walls. Visitors to the Surratt boarding house often describe an immediate sense of unease upon entering. The air feels heavy, almost charged, as if the weight of past events has seeped into the very fabric of the building. Many report the sensation of being watched, a persistent awareness that an unseen presence is observing their movements. This feeling is particularly strong in the boarding house's common areas and the upper rooms where Mary Surratt once managed her tenants. It is a subtle but palpable tension, one that seems to connect the present with the violent and tragic. Events that occurred during the Lincoln assassination conspiracy, auditory phenomena, are among the most commonly reported experiences. Guests and staff frequently recount hearing disembodied voices echoing through the empty hallways. Some claim to hear whispers calling out names or fragments of conversation from the 19th century, often ending abruptly when one attempts to locate the source. Footsteps are another recurrent occurrence, the sound of shoes pacing across the wooden floors when no one is present. Doors have been known to open and close on their own, sometimes accompanied by the faint clattering of objects moving inexplicably. These auditory anomalies, combined with the feeling of being watched, contribute to the boarding house's chilling reputation. Visual encounters add another layer to the house's haunted history. Several visitors have claimed to see the apparition of Mary Surratt herself. Witnesses describe a figure dressed in period clothing, often appearing in the hallways or near the rooms she once occupied. Some describe her as standing silently, her face solemn and expressionless, while others have seen her moving purposefully through the corridors. These sightings are typically brief, often appearing in peripheral vision or in reflections, only to vanish when observed directly. Such encounters leave a lasting impression, as though the building itself preserves the memory and presence of its most infamous resident. The Surratt boarding house also exhibits physical phenomena that cannot be easily explained. Cold spots are frequently reported, sudden drops in temperature that occur in the middle of otherwise warm rooms. Guests have described the sensation of an invisible hand brushing against their shoulders, or a subtle pressure at the back of their necks. Furniture occasionally shifts slightly, and lights flicker without any apparent electrical cause. Some visitors even report the smell of tobacco or faint traces of perfume, odors believed to be associated with the time when Mary Surratt actively ran her boarding house. These occurrences reinforce the notion that the past continues to manifest in tangible ways within the building. Mary Surratt's tragic fate seems to be intertwined with the paranormal activity that surrounds the house. Convicted for her role in the assassination plot, she faced execution by hanging in 1865, a punishment that shocked the nation and cemented her place in history. Many paranormal researchers theorize that violent deaths or emotionally charged events can leave behind residual energy, a kind of imprint that persists long after the individuals involved have passed. In the case of the Surratt boarding house, the combination of betrayal, political intrigue, and Mary Surratt's dramatic end appears to have left a lingering presence that continues to affect those who enter. Staff members who work in or near the boarding house have corroborated many of the experiences reported by guests. They speak of recurring patterns in the upper floors, particularly in rooms that were once Mary Surratt's private quarters. Cold drafts, unexplained noises, and flickering lights are often concentrated in these areas, creating a sense of tension and apprehension. Maintenance personnel have reported doors that swing open without cause and objects that seem to move or shift independently. Even those accustomed to historic buildings admit that the activity in the Surratt boarding house is unusual and consistently eerie. Visitors who come seeking historical context often leave with stories of encounters that blur the line between the living and the spectral. Some report hearing soft footsteps following them through hallways, or faint whispers that seem to echo off the walls. Others describe seeing shadows move across the rooms or catching glimpses of a figure dressed in 19th century attire. The combined effect of these experiences is a palpable connection to the building's past, where the memory of Mary Surratt and the tragic events associated with her continue to resonate. The Surratt boarding house serves as a unique reminder that history is not confined to books or plaques. It can be experienced in the very spaces where events unfolded. The echoes of voices, the flickering lights, and the fleeting apparitions create an environment in which the past and present coexist, allowing visitors to engage with history on a profoundly personal and often unsettling level. The haunting at the Surratt boarding house is more than legend. It is a living connection to one of the most infamous episodes in American history, preserved not only in records but in the subtle, persistent manifestations that continue to intrigue and unsettle. Ultimately, the Surratt boarding house stands as a testament to the enduring intersection of history, tragedy, and the unexplained. Its walls retain the echoes of a woman whose life and death have captivated historians for generations. The footsteps, whispers, cold spots, and spectral figures are reminders that the past can linger, interacting with the present in ways both mysterious and undeniable. Visitors leave with more than knowledge. They carry an experience that lingers, a sense of having encountered the presence of Mary Surratt herself. still haunting the place where her fate was irrevocably sealed. The Stoddart Mansion, located in the historic neighborhood of Georgetown, Washington, D.C., is a residence steeped in history, grandeur, and mystery. Built in the late 18th century by Benjamin Stoddart, the first Secretary of the U.S. Navy, the mansion was designed to reflect both his wealth and his prominence in the early days of the young nation. Over 2 centuries later, the mansion still stands as a testament to the city's rich history. But it is also renowned for something far less tangible: a reputation for haunting and unexplained phenomena. Visitors, historians, and staff alike have reported a variety of eerie experiences, suggesting that the mansion retains the echoes of the lives once lived within its walls. Benjamin Stoddart was a figure of considerable stature, a man whose career spanned the formative years of the United States Navy. He built the mansion not only as a private residence, but also as a symbol of his influence and status. The house itself is a striking example of late 18th century architecture, with stately columns, expansive rooms, and a design that conveys both elegance and solidity. Yet beneath this exterior of refinement lies a history that has, over time, become intertwined with the paranormal. Residents and visitors have reported that the mansion's walls seem to hold more than memories. They contain presences that continue to interact with those who enter. Many of the reports of paranormal activity at the Stoddart Mansion center on the sensation of being watched. Guests frequently describe an unshakable awareness that someone or something is observing them, even in empty rooms or along quiet hallways. This feeling can be sudden and overwhelming, causing a heightened sense of alertness and unease. Staff members who have spent extended periods in the mansion often confirm these reports, noting that certain rooms, particularly those on the upper floors or near Stoddart's original study, seem to carry a more intense presence than others. Auditory phenomena are among the most common and unsettling experiences reported. Visitors often hear unexplained footsteps echoing along the mansion's wooden floors, sometimes approaching from behind or moving across hallways that are otherwise empty. Doors have been known to open and close on their own, sometimes with a soft creak, other times with a more forceful slam, startling anyone nearby. Whispers are frequently described, voices that seem to drift from room to room, often ending abruptly when someone tries to locate their source. These sounds, combined with the pervasive feeling of observation, create an environment that feels charged with the echoes of the past. Physical manifestations are another frequently reported aspect of the mansion's haunting. Guests have described cold spots that appear in the middle of otherwise warm rooms, sudden drafts, and the sensation of an invisible hand brushing against their shoulder or arm. Furniture has been observed shifting slightly without explanation, and small objects occasionally move from one location to another, sometimes reappearing in a different room entirely. These phenomena are most often reported in areas associated with Stoddart himself, including his private chambers and study, suggesting that the presence of the mansion as original resident continues to assert itself in subtle yet undeniable ways. Sightings of apparitions add a striking visual element to the mansion's haunted reputation. Numerous witnesses have claimed to see ghostly figures of former residents or staff members, often appearing in the mansion's corridors, staircases, or sitting rooms. Some describe these figures in detail, noting period clothing or distinguishing features, while others perceive more vague, shadowy forms that vanish when approached. A particularly recurring apparition is said to resemble Benjamin Stoddart himself, seen standing silently in his study or gazing out of a window, his expression solemn and contemplative. These sightings are brief but impactful, leaving a lasting impression on those who encounter them. The mansion's rich history may offer insight into why these phenomena persist. As a home to prominent figures and their families, the Stoddart Mansion has witnessed countless personal and historical events, from social gatherings and political discussions to moments of grief and conflict. Paranormal researchers suggest that such emotionally charged environments are particularly prone to residual energy, which can manifest as auditory, physical, or visual phenomena. The combination of the mansion's age, architectural features, and the intensity of its occupants. Lives seems to have created an environment where the past continues to interact with the present. Staff and historians who have spent time in the mansion often report a sense of timing and pattern to the activity. Certain rooms are more prone to disturbances, and specific phenomena, such as footsteps, cold drafts, or flickering lights, occur repeatedly in the same locations. Objects may move predictably, or sounds may follow a distinct path through the mansion's corridors. These patterns suggest that the activity is not random, but instead tied to the structure and history of the house itself, as though the building remembers the lives and events it has housed. Visitors often describe experiences that blur the line between historical observation and direct interaction with the unknown. Some have reported hearing the faint clatter of a quill on paper, as if Stoddard were writing in his study. Others recount seeing shadows move across the walls, or the soft outline of a figure passing through a room. The sensations of being watched or lightly touched by an unseen presence are also common, creating a sense that the mansion is alive with memory and energy. These experiences leave a lasting impression, connecting visitors to the mansion's past in ways that are both thrilling and unsettling. Ultimately, the Stoddard Mansion remains a remarkable convergence of history, architecture, and the unexplained. Its grand rooms and stately corridors hold the weight of centuries, and the reports of ghostly figures, mysterious sounds, and unexplained movements suggest that the past is far from silent. Guests and staff alike leave with the sense that they have glimpsed the lingering presence of those who once inhabited the space, particularly Benjamin Stoddard himself. The mansion stands not only as a monument to early American history, but also as a site where the boundary between the living and the pastoral feels remarkably thin, allowing the echoes of the past to continue to resonate in the present. The Willard Hotel, located on the historic Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., is renowned for its luxurious accommodations, grand architecture, and an illustrious history that has seen presidents, dignitaries, and celebrities pass through its doors. Since its opening in the mid-19th century, the Willard has been more than just a hotel. It has been a center of political gatherings, social events, and historical milestones. Yet, alongside its reputation for elegance and refinement, the Willard has earned a reputation of a far more mysterious nature. Over the decades, countless reports have surfaced describing paranormal activity within the hotel's walls, leading many to believe that the Willard is haunted by the echoes of its past. Guests who have stayed at the Willard often report a peculiar feeling upon entering certain rooms or walking through specific hallways. Many describe a sense of being watched, as though unseen eyes are following their movements, even in empty corridors or during quiet late-night hours. The sensation is subtle, at first a whisper of tension or a slight chill, but it grows increasingly palpable for those who remain in the hotel's older wings. Visitors often remark that the experience is not threatening, but deeply unnerving, as though the spirits of past residents and staff are observing and interacting with the present. Auditory phenomena are among the most commonly reported experiences. Many guests recount hearing footsteps echoing along hallways when no one else is present, or the sound of doors creaking open and closed without explanation. Sometimes the sounds are rhythmic and deliberate, as though someone is walking purposefully, while at other times they are erratic, suggesting movement that defies logic. Staff members have corroborated these reports, noting that in several suites and corridors, they have heard footsteps and voices even when the areas were confirmed empty. In some instances, faint whispers are reported, voices too soft to understand, but unmistakably human, adding a chilling layer to the hotel's atmosphere. Sightings of apparitions are another element of the Willard's haunting reputation. Guests have described seeing figures dressed in period clothing, sometimes lingering in hallways or standing near doors and windows. Some apparitions appear to be former guests, perhaps those who frequented the hotel during its early years, while others resemble staff members from a bygone era. One particularly recurring sighting involves a figure in a long dress gliding silently down a hallway, vanishing when approached. These visual experiences are fleeting but unforgettable, often leaving witnesses with a lingering sense that the hotel is alive with its history. Physical sensations are also frequently reported. Guests and staff alike describe sudden cold spots in the middle of warm rooms, as well as inexplicable brushes against clothing or hair, as though an unseen hand has passed by. Some report the sensation of pressure on their shoulders or backs, creating a feeling of presence even when no one is visibly nearby. Objects occasionally move slightly on their own, such as a chair shifting position or a small item falling from a table, adding to the sense that the hotel's past is actively asserting itself in the present. The hotel's history provides insight into why the Willard might be so haunted. Over the years, it has hosted an array of influential figures and witnessed countless significant events. Presidents such as Abraham Lincoln and Franklin D. Roosevelt stayed in its suites, while socialites and politicians held meetings and receptions within its grand ballrooms. The building has also been the site of dramatic personal events, including weddings, political quarrels, and even untimely deaths. Paranormal researchers often suggest that buildings with such emotionally charged histories are particularly susceptible to lingering residual energy, which can manifest as auditory, visual, and physical phenomena. The Willard's combination of historical significance, grandeur, and human emotion seems to create the perfect conditions for a haunting. Staff members working in the hotel's older sections report consistent patterns of activity. Certain hallways and suites are more prone to disturbances, particularly those associated with the early 20th century renovations or rooms once occupied by notable guests. Cold drafts, unexplained noises, and flickering lights are common in these areas. Housekeepers and maintenance personnel often experience objects moving or doors opening without cause, reinforcing the idea that the hotel retains the imprint of past occupants. Even seasoned employees, accustomed to the daily workings of a historic hotel, admit to moments of unease when navigating these areas alone. Visitors who stay at the Willard often describe experiences that bridge the gap between history and the supernatural. Some hear the faint clatter of footsteps echoing across the floorboards late at night, while others glimpse shadowy figures moving in mirrors or at the edge of their vision. The sensation of being watched is frequently reported, as is the feeling of a hand brushing past them when no one is present. These experiences, subtle yet undeniable, create a connection between the present-day occupants and the hotel's storied past, allowing guests to feel as though they are sharing space with those who once walked the halls centuries earlier. Lighting anomalies are another aspect of the Willard's haunting. Guests often notice lights flickering without any electrical issue or chandeliers swinging gently when the room is undisturbed. These phenomena sometimes coincide with other activity, such as sudden temperature drops, footsteps, or whispers, creating an atmosphere that feels charged with unseen energy. Many paranormal enthusiasts believe that such anomalies are manifestations of the spirits attempting to communicate or make their presence known. Ultimately, the Willard Hotel remains a unique convergence of history, luxury, and the unexplained. Its grand architecture and historical significance make it a destination for tourists and dignitaries. But its reputation for paranormal activity adds an entirely different layer of intrigue. From footsteps echoing through empty hallways to apparitions and unexplained physical sensations, the hotel is alive with the echoes of its past. Guests leave not only with memories of elegant accommodations and refined service, but also with the haunting impression that the Willard is more than a building. It is a repository of history, energy, and lingering spirits that continue to interact with the present in subtle, sometimes startling ways. Lafayette Square, situated directly across from the White House in Washington, D.C., is one of the city's most historically significant and visually striking parks. Established in the early 19th century, the square has witnessed countless events, from presidential speeches and protests to celebrations and somber commemorations. Yet, beyond its well-known political and social importance, Lafayette Square has earned a reputation that is far more enigmatic. It is widely regarded as a site of paranormal activity. Visitors and historians alike have reported eerie experiences that suggest the park is not only a witness to history, but also a home to lingering spirits connected to its storied past. The park's proximity to the White House has made it a central point for political and social activity for over 2 centuries. From the earliest days of the presidency, Lafayette Square has been a place where staff members, political figures, and even former presidents themselves have walked, often under the intense pressures and emotional weight of office. Many paranormal researchers suggest that locations with such significant historical and emotional resonance are prime candidates for unexplained activity. The energy of countless important and sometimes tragic events appears to have left an imprint on the square, creating an atmosphere in which the past can be felt alongside the present. Visitors to Lafayette Square often report an immediate sense of unease, a subtle but unmistakable feeling that they are not entirely alone. Many describe the sensation of being watched, even in broad daylight and amid the usual crowds of tourists and office workers. The feeling is often accompanied by a heightened awareness of surroundings, as though invisible eyes are observing movements and actions. Some people have claimed to feel a presence following them along the pathways, an unseen companion whose intentions are neither threatening nor comforting but undeniably real. Auditory phenomena are frequently reported within the park, especially in quieter hours during early mornings or late evenings. Some visitors recount hearing footsteps echoing across the cobblestones or gravel paths when no one else is present. Others have described faint voices, sometimes calling out names or fragmentary conversations, drifting through the trees and disappearing when approached. The sound of distant laughter or murmurs has also been noted, leading some to speculate that these are echoes of past events carried forward through time and space. These disembodied noises are often subtle but persistent, creating an impression that Lafayette Square retains the presence of those who once moved through it centuries ago. Apparitions have also been reported, particularly near the areas of the park closest to historically significant buildings. Witnesses claim to have seen shadowy figures resembling former presidents, political staff, or other individuals from earlier eras, moving silently across the lawns or standing near the park's monuments. These sightings are typically brief, appearing at the edge of vision or through reflections in windows. Yet they are vivid enough to leave lasting impressions. One recurring apparition described by visitors is of a man in 19th century attire pacing along the square's pathways, disappearing whenever someone attempts to approach him. Such visions reinforce the park's reputation as a place where history and the supernatural intersect. Physical sensations are also commonly reported by those visiting Lafayette Square. Some individuals feel sudden chills or cold spots in areas that are otherwise sunny or warm. Others describe the sensation of a gentle brush against the shoulder, as if an unseen hand has passed by, or an inexplicable pressure on their back or chest. Many of these occurrences seem to coincide with other phenomena, such as the appearance of shadows or the distant sound of voices, suggesting a complex interplay between sensory perception and the residual energy of the park. The historical significance of Lafayette Square adds depth to its haunting. Over the centuries, it has been a stage for political intrigue, national celebrations, protests, and moments of personal tragedy for those who have worked and lived in proximity to the White House. The intense emotions and pivotal decisions that have taken place within and around the park appear to have left a lasting imprint. Paranormal researchers theorize that emotionally charged events, particularly those involving fear, grief, or high tension, can create a form of residual energy that manifests in sensory disturbances, apparitions, and other unexplained phenomena. Lafayette Square, with its proximity to the nation's center of power, provides the perfect environment for such phenomena to persist. Staff members and longtime visitors have noted recurring patterns in the activity. Certain areas, particularly near benches, monuments, or historical buildings bordering the square, are consistently reported as hotspots for unusual occurrences. Footsteps, whispers, and sudden chills often appear in the same locations over time, suggesting that the activity is not random. Even individuals who have spent years walking the square acknowledge moments when the sensation of presence or observation is particularly strong, reinforcing the notion that the park carries layers of history that remain perceptible to those attuned to them. Visitors often leave Lafayette Square with experiences that blur the boundary between history and the supernatural. Some report glimpsing figures standing near statues, watching silently before vanishing. Others hear faint echoes of conversations, footsteps, or laughter from another era, creating a tangible connection to the lives and events that unfolded in the park long before their own arrival. The sensation of being observed, combined with visual and auditory phenomena, makes the park a compelling destination not only for history enthusiasts, but also for those intrigued by the paranormal. Ultimately, Lafayette Square stands as more than just a public park or historic site. It is a living archive, where the presence of the past continues to linger and interact with the present, from disembodied voices and footsteps to fleeting apparitions and the sensation of being watched. The park remains a place where history and haunting coexist. Visitors leave with more than a memory of scenic walkways or monuments. They carry an impression of having walked alongside the shadows of the past, feeling the enduring presence of the many figures who shaped the nation as history and whose spirits may still wander among the trees and paths of Lafayette Square. The U.S. Capitol building, perched atop Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., is one of the nation's most iconic and symbolically powerful structures. Serving as the home of the United States Congress, it has been the site of pivotal legislative decisions, historic speeches, and political debates that have shaped the country since its construction in the early 19th century. Beyond its grandeur and historical significance, however, the Capitol is also known for a less tangible presence, a long history of paranormal activity. Over the decades, staff, visitors, and historians have reported a variety of eerie phenomena, suggesting that the building itself may carry the echoes of the many lives and events it has witnessed. Visitors to the Capitol often describe a distinct feeling upon entering certain areas, a sense that the building is alive in a way that goes beyond its political function. Many recount the sensation of being watched, even in empty chambers or hallways. This awareness is subtle at first, a slight prickling of the skin or a sudden chill, but it can quickly become unsettling, especially in areas associated with the Senate and House of Representatives. Staff members and longtime guides confirm that this feeling is not uncommon, noting that certain rooms and corridors seem to carry an energy that is difficult to explain. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported experiences within the Capitol. Many visitors recount hearing footsteps echoing along polished floors or down hallways that are otherwise empty. These sounds are sometimes deliberate and measured, as if someone is pacing with purpose, while at other times they are erratic, fading in and out without warning. Disembodied voices are also commonly reported, often resembling heated debates, whispered conversations, or distant calls for attention. Witnesses have described hearing fragments of discussions or legislative arguments, as though the spirits of past lawmakers are replaying moments from their service in the halls of Congress. Doors opening and closing on their own is another frequent occurrence. Staff and visitors have reported doors swinging gently or slamming shut without any discernible cause, often coinciding with the sounds of footsteps or voices. These experiences are typically brief but memorable, leaving witnesses with the impression that the building retains a consciousness of its own, aware of those who walk its corridors. Even seasoned employees, accustomed to the normal creaks and settling noises of an old building, acknowledge that the Capitol occasionally produces sounds and movements that defy explanation. Visual sightings are less common but equally compelling. Several individuals have reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the halls, sometimes disappearing around corners or vanishing when approached. Apparitions resembling former lawmakers, staff members, and even historical figures have been described. Witnesses often note that these figures appear in period attire, lending the encounters a sense of authenticity and historical resonance. Some claim to have glimpsed individuals standing silently in empty chambers, reviewing documents or gazing out windows, only to vanish moments later. These visual manifestations, though fleeting, create an unmistakable impression that the Capitol is imbued with the presence of those who once inhabited it. Temperature fluctuations and cold spots are commonly noted by visitors, particularly in areas where paranormal activity is frequently reported. Sudden chills can occur in the middle of warm rooms, often accompanied by the sensation of moving air or the subtle brush of an unseen hand. Staff members have described areas where the temperature drops inexplicably, sometimes coinciding with the sounds of footsteps or whispers. Such phenomena contribute to the sense that the Capitol is a space where the past and present coexist in a tangible, perceptible way. The building's rich and sometimes turbulent history appears to be intertwined with its haunted reputation. From its role in the War of 1812, when the original Capitol was burned, to the passage of controversial legislation and moments of political tension, the halls of Congress have borne witness to intense emotion and conflict. Paranormal researchers suggest that such high-stress, emotionally charged environments are particularly susceptible to lingering energy. In the Capitol, the presence of influential lawmakers, political debates, and dramatic events may have left residual imprints that manifest as sounds, visions, or physical sensations experienced by modern visitors. Staff members who spend extensive time in the Capitol report recurring patterns in the activity. Certain chambers and hallways are frequently cited as locations where footsteps, voices, and cold spots occur with notable consistency. Maintenance personnel and security staff have occasionally noticed objects moving slightly or doors swinging without cause, particularly in older sections of the building. These consistent occurrences reinforce the notion that the haunting is not random, but rather a product of the Capitol's unique historical and architectural environment. Visitors who experience these phenomena often describe a sense of connection to the past, hearing faint echoes of debates, seeing fleeting shadows, or feeling the weight of unseen eyes creates a bridge across time, allowing the living to experience a tangible link to those who have shaped the nation. Some report a feeling of reverence mixed with unease, a recognition that the Capitol is both a working seat of government and a repository of memory, emotion, and unfinished presence. These encounters leave a lasting impression, reminding visitors that history is not only recorded in books and documents, but also retained in the spaces where it unfolded. Ultimately, the U.S. Capitol building is more than a symbol of legislative power and democracy. It is a living monument to the people and events that have defined the nation. The reports of ghostly figures, disembodied voices, footsteps, and cold spots suggest that the building continues to preserve and convey its past, allowing modern visitors to feel the weight and presence of history in a profoundly immediate way. From the Senate chambers to the corridors of old offices, the Capitol remains a place where history and the supernatural coexist, where the echoes of the past continue to resonate and interact with the present. The Haddam's Hotel, situated directly across from the White House on Lafayette Square, is one of Washington, D.C.'s most elegant and storied accommodations. Since its opening in the early 20th century, it has been a preferred destination for presidents, dignitaries, and high-profile visitors. Its reputation for luxury and refined service is well established, yet alongside its prestige lies a less tangible, more unsettling reputation. The hotel is widely regarded as one of the most haunted locations in the city. Over the years, guest staff and paranormal enthusiasts have reported a variety of unexplained phenomena, from footsteps echoing through empty corridors to ghostly apparitions of former residents and employees, making the Haddams a site where history and the supernatural intertwine. Visitors to the hotel often describe an immediate feeling of unease in certain areas, particularly in the older sections of the building. Many report a sense of being watched, an inexplicable awareness that someone or something is observing them. This sensation can strike without warning, whether in a private suite, along a quiet hallway, or near the grand staircases. Guests often describe it as a heavy, almost tangible presence, a subtle pressure that seems to follow them from room to room. Staff members who have worked in the hotel for years confirm that certain rooms and corridors seem to carry a persistent, lingering energy, one that has been present for decades. Auditory phenomena are among the most commonly reported experiences at the Haddam's Hotel. Guests frequently recount hearing footsteps in rooms or hallways that are otherwise empty, doors opening and closing on their own, and soft murmurs that cannot be traced to a source. Some have reported the sound of voices, sometimes speaking indistinctly or calling out names, drifting through the halls. These sounds often appear at night or during quiet hours when the hotel is largely unoccupied, enhancing their eerie impact. The combination of footsteps, whispers, and doors moving without cause contributes to a pervasive sense that the hotel is inhabited not just by living guests, but by lingering spirits connected to its past. Physical sensations are another common element of the hotel's haunting. Guests have described sudden chills in otherwise warm rooms, cold drafts in hallways that should be sealed, and the sensation of being lightly touched or brushed by an unseen hand. Housekeeping and maintenance staff have also reported furniture shifting slightly, small items moving inexplicably, and occasional pressure on their shoulders or backs when no one is nearby. These experiences, though subtle, are frequent enough to be noted consistently over the years, suggesting a presence that is aware of the people moving through the hotel's spaces. Visual sightings add a striking and sometimes unsettling dimension to the Haddam's haunted reputation. Guests have described seeing figures in period clothing, some appearing to be former residents or hotel staff, silently moving through hallways or standing in doorways. Others have reported catching fleeting glimpses of a figure in a mirror, only for it to vanish when observed directly. Some apparitions are more distinct, appearing fully formed and lifelike, while others are shadowy and indistinct. One recurring vision, reported by multiple guests, is of a figure gliding along the hallways near the suites on the upper floors, vanishing when approached. Such sightings, brief though they may be, leave a lasting impression and contribute to the sense that the hotel is alive with the memory of its past occupants. The hotel's history helps to explain why such phenomena might persist. Built in the early 20th century, the Haddam's Hotel has been a hub for political, social, and personal activity for over 100 years. Presidents, diplomats, and influential figures have stayed in its rooms, and staff have tended to countless high-profile events. The accumulation of decades of intense emotional energy, joy, stress, grief, and excitement may have left residual impressions on the building, manifesting as unexplained sounds, sensations, or visual phenomena. Paranormal researchers often suggest the locations with rich, emotionally charged histories are particularly susceptible to hauntings, and the Haddam's fits this description perfectly. Staff members who have worked in the hotel for extended periods note that certain rooms and corridors seem especially active. Suites that were historically reserved for dignitaries, hallways near the grand staircases, and areas associated with long-serving employees often experience a higher frequency of reported activity. Footsteps, moving objects, and cold drafts appear consistently in these locations, reinforcing the idea that the haunting is connected to the hotel's history and architecture. Even seasoned employees accustomed to the routine noises of a historic building find themselves startled by experiences they cannot explain. Guests often leave the hotel with stories that blur the line between history and the supernatural. Some recall hearing footsteps behind them in empty corridors or the creak of doors opening without cause. Others describe seeing shadowy figures move across rooms or catch glimpses of people from a bygone era. The sensation of being watched is commonly reported, as is the feeling of a fleeting touch from an unseen presence. These experiences create a connection between visitors and the hotel's past, allowing guests to feel the weight and presence of those who once walked the halls before them. Lighting anomalies are also sometimes reported, with lamps flickering or chandeliers moving slightly when no natural explanation exists. These occurrences often coincide with other phenomena, such as footsteps or cold drafts, further enhancing the sense that the hotel is imbued with the presence of unseen entities. Many paranormal enthusiasts believe these manifestations are residual echoes of past events. Moments of intense emotion preserved within the building and expressed sporadically through sensory phenomena. Ultimately, the Adams Hotel stands as a remarkable blend of history, luxury, and mystery. Its grand architecture and prominent location provide a backdrop for both elegance and the unexplained. From footsteps echoing in empty hallways to flickering lights, shadowy apparitions, and the subtle sensation of being watched, the hotel continues to captivate and unsettle all who enter. Guests leave with more than memories of fine accommodations and refined service. They carry the experience of a place where history and haunting coexist, a location where the past is never truly gone, but persists in subtle, haunting ways. The Old Brick Capitol, located on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., is a historic building that has played a pivotal role in the political life of the United States. Constructed in the early 19th century to serve as a temporary home for Congress after the original Capitol was burned during the War of 1812, it became more than a replacement structure. It was a witness to a turbulent era of political upheaval, national reconstruction, and social change. Beyond its historical significance, the Old Brick Capitol has gained a reputation as one of Washington's most haunted sites. Over the years, countless visitors, staff, and paranormal enthusiasts have reported experiences that suggest the building retains the echoes of its past, where former lawmakers and staff may continue to linger. From the moment one steps inside the Old Brick Capitol, there is a sense that the building carries an energy unlike any modern office or government structure. Many visitors report feeling a subtle but persistent sensation of being watched. This feeling often strikes suddenly, sometimes in the middle of empty corridors or deserted chambers, leaving those who experience it with a sense of unease. Staff members who spend long hours in the building have described similar sensations, particularly in rooms that once served as offices or meeting spaces for lawmakers. The feeling of an unseen presence is so common that it has become a topic of fascination and discussion among those who work within its walls. Auditory phenomena are among the most frequently reported types of activity in the Old Brick Capitol. Footsteps are often heard echoing along the hallways, sometimes approaching from behind or pacing purposefully in spaces that are completely empty. Doors creak open and shut on their own, often in areas far from the main offices, while disembodied voices are reported speaking in hushed tones as though fragments of political debates or conversations from the 19th century are replaying themselves. Witnesses sometimes hear whispers calling names or issuing commands, though the words are typically indistinct and fleeting. These sounds contribute to an atmosphere that feels alive with the weight of history, reminding visitors that the building has been a center of high-stakes decision-making and intense human emotion. Physical manifestations also appear frequently in reports of paranormal activity. Visitors and staff have described sudden cold spots that appear in the middle of otherwise warm rooms, inexplicable drafts, and the sensation of being lightly touched by an unseen hand. Furniture sometimes shifts slightly or objects move without explanation, as though an invisible occupant is interacting with the environment. In certain areas, particularly those associated with the building's original offices, these phenomena are reported more frequently, suggesting a connection between the spaces and the lingering energy of those who once worked there. Visual sightings of apparitions have been reported over the years, adding a striking dimension to the building's haunted reputation. Witnesses describe shadowy figures moving down hallways, standing near doorways, or sitting at old desks, often disappearing when approached. Some apparitions are said to resemble former lawmakers in period clothing, reflecting the era in which the building served as a temporary seat of Congress. Others appear more like staff members, quietly moving through spaces long abandoned. In some cases, multiple witnesses have reported seeing the same figures independently, lending credibility to the notion that the building retains more than just memories, it retains presence. The history of the Old Brick Capitol provides insight into why the haunting may persist. following the destruction of the original capital by British forces in 1814. The temporary building became a hub of political activity during a turbulent period in the nation's history. Laws were debated, decisions were made under intense pressure, and the fledgling government faced challenges that would shape the country's future. Such a concentration of human activity, emotion, and historical significance is often cited by paranormal researchers as creating a residual energy that can persist over time, manifesting in auditory, visual, or physical phenomena. Staff and historians who have spent time in the building note recurring patterns in the activity. Specific hallways, offices, and chambers are consistently reported as hotspots for unexplained occurrences. Footsteps, whispers, and cold spots tend to appear in the same locations. While doors may swing open at predictable intervals, even seasoned employees accustomed to the building's age-related sounds acknowledge moments of unusual activity that cannot be explained by normal, structural settling or environmental factors. These recurring patterns suggest that the building's paranormal activity is closely linked to its history, preserving the memory of past occupants in perceptible ways. Visitors to the old brick capital often leave with experiences that blend history and the supernatural. Some report hearing distant debates or discussions that seem to echo from another era. Others describe glimpsing figures in old attire, moving silently along corridors or disappearing into rooms. The sensation of being watched or lightly touched by an unseen presence is also common, creating a feeling that the building is not merely a historical site, but an active participant in its own past. These encounters leave a lasting impression, connecting modern visitors to the lives, decisions, and energies of those who once walked its halls. Ultimately, the old brick capital stands as a unique testament to the intertwining of history and the unexplained. Its walls, which have witnessed political triumphs, heated debates, and moments of national crisis, continue to hold the echoes of those who shaped the nation. The footsteps, disembodied voices, cold drafts, and fleeting apparitions serve as reminders that history is not only recorded in documents and archives, but is also retained in the spaces where it unfolded. Visitors and staff alike leave with the sense that the building is alive with memory, a place where the past and present coexist in a tangible, often unsettling way. The Kirby House, located in the historic Logan Circle neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is a residence whose charm and history are matched only by the unsettling tales of ghostly activity reported within its walls. Built over a century ago, the Kirby House has witnessed generations of residents, each leaving their mark on its architecture and atmosphere. Yet, alongside its storied past, the house has gained a reputation for paranormal occurrences that continue to intrigue and unnerve those who spend time there. Reports from residents, visitors, and paranormal investigators describe a range of unexplained phenomena, from footsteps echoing through empty hallways to objects moving of their own accord, and even shadowy figures glimpsed near stairwells. Among the most commonly reported experiences are the sounds of footsteps in hallways when no one is present. Residents often describe the distinct echo of deliberate pacing, sometimes slow and steady, other times brisk and hurried, as if someone were moving with purpose. These footsteps often occur late at night or in the early hours of the morning, creating a sense of unease for anyone awake at the time. One long-term resident recalled lying in bed when the unmistakable sound of shoes on wood floors approached from the corridor outside their room. When they checked, the hallway was completely empty, yet the footsteps continued for several more minutes before fading away entirely. Such incidents have become a defining feature of the Kirby House's haunted reputation. Doors opening and closing without cause are another recurring phenomenon. Residents report doors swinging gently on their hinges, or in some cases slamming shut with surprising force, leaving the space suddenly silent once more. These events occur throughout the house, from bedrooms to living areas, often in spaces where no one else is present. Some suggest that drafts or mechanical faults might explain minor movements, but many of the more forceful or precise incidents defy logical explanation. One visitor recounted walking through a corridor when a door across the hall suddenly creaked open. Despite being latched securely just moments before, the sudden motion created an immediate feeling of tension, as if the house itself were alive and responding to their presence. In addition to auditory phenomena, residents have reported objects moving inexplicably. Small items such as books, chairs, or personal belongings sometimes shift position, often in ways that suggest intentional placement rather than random displacement. These movements are often subtler, chairs slightly angled differently, a book no longer on the shelf, but their repeated occurrence has convinced many that an unseen presence inhabits the home. Some residents describe the sensation of objects moving in response to their attention, as if the spirits are acknowledging their observation, adding an interactive and unnerving dimension to the activity. Perhaps the most visually disturbing experiences involve shadowy figures near stairwells. Residents have described seeing dark, human-shaped forms drifting silently across landings or descending staircases, vanishing the moment they are approached. These figures are typically featureless, appearing more as silhouettes than detailed apparitions, yet their presence is unmistakable. One visitor reported catching a glimpse of a shadowy figure halfway down the main staircase, only for it to dissolve into darkness before they could reach it. These fleeting appearances leave a lasting impression, combining both fear and fascination. As witnesses struggle to comprehend the source of what they have seen, paranormal investigators have long been drawn to the Kirby house, intrigued by the consistency of reports and the variety of phenomena. Many suggest that the spirits may be former occupants, individuals whose lives were so entwined with the house that they remained tied to it long after death. Investigators often note that activity tends to concentrate in areas where residents of the past would have frequently moved, such as stairwells and transitional spaces, supporting the idea that habitual human energy can imprint itself on a building. Electronic monitoring devices have occasionally recorded anomalous temperature shifts and unexplained sounds, further reinforcing the sense that the house is not entirely empty. For those who live in or visit the Kirby house, the experience can be both unnerving and captivating. The footsteps, moving objects, and shadowy figures create an atmosphere of constant tension, while also providing a direct link to the house's long and layered history. Even skeptics often admit to feeling a sense of presence, a subtle awareness that the building is more than just walls and furniture. The Kirby house stands as a remarkable example of how history and human experience can leave lasting impressions on a place. Its grand architecture and historic charm are only part of the story. The persistent paranormal activity suggests that the house retains echoes of those who once walked its halls. The footsteps, doors, and shadowy forms serve as reminders that some residences, especially those with long and complex histories, may never be entirely vacant, and that the past continues to exist, quietly observed and sometimes experienced within the walls of the Kirby house. The Hoyrick house, better known as the Brewmaster's Castle, sits in the heart of DuPont Circle as one of Washington, D.C.'s most striking historic residences. Built by Christian Hoyrick, a German immigrant who became a prominent brewer in the late 19th century. The mansion reflects both the wealth and ambition of its owner. Constructed with Romanesque Revival architecture, it features thick stone walls, grand staircases, elaborate woodwork, and intricately designed rooms. Yet beyond its architectural splendor lies a darker legacy, one that has captured the attention of visitors, historians, and paranormal investigators alike. For decades, accounts of unexplained phenomena have circulated, giving the Hoyrick house a reputation as one of the most haunted residences in the city. Among the most frequently reported occurrences are the sounds of footsteps echoing through the mansion's halls. Guests often describe the slow, deliberate pacing of someone walking, even in areas where no one is present. These footsteps are reported on hardwood floors, on staircases, and through corridors that have long been closed off. One visitor recounted hearing the steady rhythm of shoes approaching from the grand hallway outside their room, only for the sound to vanish when they opened the door. Many believe these footsteps belong to Christian Hoyrik himself, still wandering the halls of the house he built and cherished. Others speculate that they could be the spirits of the family's servants, eternally tending to the mansion as they did in life. Faint whispers are another hallmark of the house's supernatural activity. Guests report hearing voices in rooms that appear empty, the murmurs often soft and almost imperceptible, as if carrying conversations from a bygone era. These whispers are most commonly heard in the upper floors and the study, where Christian Hoyrik would have spent much of his time managing his brewing empire. Some visitors claim that the voices respond when they speak or call out, creating an unnerving sense of communication from the past. Paranormal investigators have recorded audio anomalies in these spaces, capturing fragments of indistinct speech and murmured words that cannot be attributed to any living source. The sound of glasses clinking in empty rooms is another phenomenon that has fascinated both visitors and investigators. The mansion once hosted elaborate dinners and social gatherings, with guests toasting and conversing late into the night. Some witnesses describe hearing the faint ring of glasses or the low murmur of laughter, echoing through the dining room and former brewery offices. These sounds often appear in areas where no glassware remains, suggesting that the echoes are remnants of the past, tied to the spirits of those who once lived and celebrated within the mansion's walls. Visual encounters are less common but equally compelling. Apparitions of men in period clothing have been reported, often lingering near the old brewery offices or the cellar spaces below the mansion. Visitors and staff have captured images of figures that were not visible at the time of photography. Shadowy men in suits or work attire, standing or moving quietly before fading into the darkness. These apparitions are thought to be the spirits of Christian Hoyrik, his family members, or employees who helped run the brewery, continuing to occupy the spaces where they once worked and lived. The mansion's cellar, in particular, is a hotspot for paranormal activity. The cool, stone-lined rooms, once used for brewing beer, seem to resonate with the presence of the past. Visitors have reported sudden drops in temperature, unexplained sounds, and the feeling of being watched. It is a space where the intersection of history and haunting is most tangible, where the labor of the brewery and the lives of those who worked there seem to leave a lasting imprint on the environment. Even those skeptical of ghosts admit that the Hoyrik house carries a unique and unsettling atmosphere. The combination of footsteps, whispers, clinking glasses, and shadowy figures creates an environment where history feels alive, almost tangible, in a way that goes beyond the physical structure itself. Visitors are left with the impression that they are not merely walking through a preserved home, but moving alongside echoes of the lives that once filled it. The Hoyrik house stands as a testament to both the ambition and the lingering presence of those who built it. Its architecture, history, and the peculiar reports of ghostly activity make it a singular location in Washington, D.C., where the past never seems entirely gone. Whether one encounters a whisper, a shadow, or the echo of footsteps, the mansion offers a window into a bygone era, reminding all who enter that the brewmaster's castle holds more than just stories of craftsmanship and legacy. It holds the spirits of the people who once made it a home. The O Street Mansion, nestled in the DuPont Circle neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is renowned not only for its architectural eccentricities, but also for the strange and unexplained phenomena reported within its walls. Known as much for its labyrinthine corridors and hidden doors, as for its eclectic collection of art and antiques, the mansion has long captivated visitors with its mysteries. But beyond the curiosity of secret passageways and concealed rooms, the mansion has gained a reputation as a hotspot for paranormal activity, attracting ghost hunters, historians, and thrill-seekers eager to witness the unexplained. Reports from guests and investigators describe sudden cold spots, shadowy figures, doors moving on their own, and fleeting whispers that seem to emanate from the building itself. One of the most frequently reported experiences at the O Street Mansion is the sudden drop in temperature that appears without explanation. Visitors often describe entering a room that feels perfectly normal and then being struck by a chill that seems to move with them. These cold spots are reported throughout the mansion, but particularly in hidden rooms and behind secret doors. Areas that are easily overlooked and difficult to navigate. The sensation is not just physical. Many report feeling a presence, an invisible watcher in the room, heightening the unease that accompanies the temperature shift. Paranormal investigators using thermal cameras have recorded abrupt changes in room temperatures, confirming that these phenomena are not simply imagined. Shadow figures add an even more unsettling dimension to the mansion's supernatural reputation. Guests frequently describe seeing dark, humanoid forms slipping through the corridors or lingering near stairwells and upper floors. These figures are often out of the corner of one's eye, vanishing when approached, leaving only the impression that someone or something was there moments ago. Some visitors have reported seeing figures paused at doorways or hidden alcoves, as if silently observing, only to disappear before they can be fully identified. Investigators suggest these manifestations may be tied to the mansion's past occupants, spirits drawn to the complexity and secrecy of the home's architecture. Doors moving on their own are another hallmark of the mansion's mysterious activity. With over 70 secret doors, panels, and hidden passageways, it is easy to assume that drafts or faulty hinges might explain minor movements. Yet, many incidents seem deliberate. Guests have recounted doors swinging open or closing with no apparent cause, often accompanied by a sense of anticipation or foreboding. One long-term visitor described walking through the hallway when a hidden door behind a bookshelf slowly creaked open, revealing a small chamber previously unnoticed. The door closed moments later, without warning, leaving a lingering sense that the mansion itself is guiding or interacting with those within it. Whispers and fleeting apparitions are particularly reported near the upper floors of the mansion. Paranormal enthusiasts equipped with audio recording devices and night vision cameras have documented unexplained voices and faint figures that seem to appear and disappear in an instant. The whispers are often indecipherable, fragments of conversations that suggest past lives replaying their routines, echoing through the maze-like structure. Some investigators theorize that the mansion's unusual design, the winding hallways, hidden rooms, and overlapping spaces traps energy, allowing these residual impressions to linger longer than they would in a more conventional home. Despite the mansion's reputation for ghostly activity, many visitors find the experience exhilarating rather than terrifying. Guests describe a mixture of awe and apprehension as they explore its countless rooms, discovering secret passageways while remaining aware of an unseen presence. The combination of architectural curiosity and paranormal phenomena creates an environment where the ordinary and the extraordinary blend seamlessly, making every visit unpredictable. Even skeptics often admit to feeling watched or sensing movements they cannot explain, particularly when exploring the less traveled upper floors. The O Street Mansion's long history adds depth to its eerie atmosphere. Over the years, it has served as a private residence, a cultural venue, and a place of artistic exploration. Its inhabitants, past and present, have left traces not just of their physical presence, but also, it seems, of their emotional energy. Some suggest that the spirits are drawn to the mansion precisely because of its intricate layout, which offers secluded spaces and hidden corners, ideal for lingering entities to remain unseen, yet perceptible. For those who enter the O Street Mansion today, the experience is unforgettable. Cold spots, shadow figures, mysterious door movements, and whispers provide a glimpse into the building's haunted character, creating an atmosphere where history, architecture, and the supernatural intersect. Each hidden corridor and secret room carries the potential for the unexplained, reminding visitors that this unique mansion is more than a historical curiosity, is a place where the past continues to exist alongside the present, quietly observing and occasionally revealing itself in the most unexpected ways. Oak Hill House, located in the historic Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is a stately early 19th century residence that combines architectural elegance with a chilling reputation for paranormal activity. Built during a period of prosperity, the mansion once housed a prominent family whose lives were intertwined with the city's early growth and social development. Over the decades, The house has become known not just for its grand staircases, ornate woodwork, and period charm, but for the eerie and unexplained events that visitors and residents continue to experience. Reports of shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, sudden chills, and faint music drifting through empty rooms have made Oak Hill House a focal point for those fascinated by the supernatural. Among the most frequently reported phenomena are sightings of shadowy figures along the staircases. Guests often describe fleeting silhouettes that appear in the corners of their vision, lingering briefly on the landings or midway up the stairs. One visitor recounted noticing a dark shape pause at the top of the main staircase before slowly descending and vanishing entirely when approached. The forms are typically indistinct, lacking detail or facial features, yet their presence is undeniable. Many believe these shadows represent members of the family who originally lived in the house, spirits bound to the spaces they once frequented. Others suggest they could be former staff, eternally tied to the home they served, moving through its halls as part of a lingering routine. Phantom footsteps are another hallmark of Oak Hill House's haunted character. Residents and visitors alike report hearing the deliberate pacing of shoes on hardwood floors, echoing through otherwise empty rooms. The footsteps often follow corridors or circle stairwells, appearing and disappearing without explanation. Some have described the footsteps as slow and measured, while others report a more hurried pace, as if the unseen presence is moving with urgency. These sounds often occur at night, creating an atmosphere of tension and anticipation that heightens the sense of unease throughout the mansion. Paranormal investigators have noted that these auditory anomalies often coincide with other unusual phenomena, suggesting a concentration of residual energy in certain areas of the house. Sudden chills and cold spots are frequently associated with these spectral activities. Visitors often experience abrupt drops in temperature in specific rooms or hallways, sometimes enveloping them entirely in icy air. The sensation is more than just physical. Many report an almost tangible awareness of an unseen presence accompanying the chill. In some cases, the drops in temperature are localized, as if the spirit is confined to a particular area, while in other instances, the cold seems to sweep through entire sections of the house. Investigators equipped with thermometers and thermal cameras have documented these anomalies, finding temperature fluctuations that defy conventional explanations. Perhaps the most haunting phenomenon reported at Oak Hill House is the sound of faint music drifting from rooms that no longer contain instruments. Guests describe hearing the soft notes of a piano, the delicate strumming of a stringed instrument, or a distant melody that seems to linger in the air. These sounds are often fleeting, vanishing the moment someone enters the room, yet they leave a lingering impression of presence and history. Many speculate that the music is a residual echo from the family's past, a manifestation of moments when the house was filled with laughter, celebration, and culture. Paranormal investigations of Oak Hill House have revealed additional evidence of unusual activity. EMF meters occasionally spike in areas where no electronic devices are present, and audio recordings have captured unexplained noises and faint voices. Investigators suggest that these readings, combined with eyewitness reports, indicate a strong concentration of supernatural energy, possibly linked to the house's history and the lives of those who once inhabited it. For visitors today, Oak Hill House offers an experience that is both captivating and unsettling. The combination of shadowy figures, phantom footsteps, sudden chills, and spectral music creates an atmosphere where the past feels present, almost tangible. Even those skeptical of the paranormal often find themselves unsettled, sensing that the house carries echoes of lives once lived, preserved in the fabric of its walls, staircases, and rooms. Oak Hill House remains a testament to the way history and haunting can coexist in a single space. Its architecture and beauty are only part of the story. The house also serves as a vessel for the spirits of its past, a place where the echoes of family life, work, and celebration continue to resonate. Each shadow, each chill, and each note of phantom music reminds visitors that Oak Hill House is more than a historic residence. It is a living, breathing chronicle of the people and memories that refuse to fade entirely. The Lothrop Mansion, situated in the upscale Colorama neighborhood of Washington, D.C., is a grand residence whose history is matched by its reputation for paranormal activity. Once the home of a prominent Washington family, the mansion reflects the wealth, status, and architectural elegance of its era, with expansive rooms, high ceilings, ornate moldings, and intricate woodwork throughout. However, beyond its stately appearance and historic charm lies a series of unexplained phenomena that have intrigued both residents and visitors alike. Accounts of apparitions, cold spots, flickering lights, phantom touches, and whispered conversations have made the Lothrop Mansion a focal point for those drawn to the supernatural. Among the most frequently reported experiences are sightings of apparitions believed to be former residents of the mansion. Guests have described seeing faint, human-shaped figures moving gracefully through the hallways or standing silently near windows and doorways. One visitor recounted witnessing a man in period clothing walking slowly across the parlor before fading into the shadows. Another described a woman in a long gown gliding down a staircase, vanishing just as she reached the bottom. These apparitions are often seen in areas where the family would have spent significant time, suggesting that their spirits remain connected to the spaces they once inhabited. Paranormal investigators believe that such apparitions may represent intelligent hauntings, with the spirits consciously aware of their surroundings and the living presence within the mansion. Cold spots are another hallmark of the Lothrop Mansion's supernatural activity. Several rooms are reported to experience sudden and localized drops in temperature, even when the rest of the house remains comfortably warm. Guests often feel a sharp chill envelop them as they enter these areas, sometimes accompanied by a sense of being watched. One visitor described standing in the library when a cold wave swept through the room, causing the hair on their arms to stand on end, and the sensation remained even as they moved to another corner. Paranormal investigators equipped with thermal cameras have documented these temperature anomalies, confirming that the sudden chills are not the result of drafts or mechanical faults, and suggesting that these cold spots may be linked to the mansion's lingering spectral energy. Flickering lights add to the eerie atmosphere of the mansion. Electrical fixtures have been known to dim, brighten, or blink with no apparent cause, often in rooms where no one else is present. Witnesses report that these fluctuations frequently occur when they are alone or when discussing the mansion's history, creating a sense that the building itself is reacting to their presence. In some cases, lights flicker in patterns, drawing attention to specific areas or objects, which has led some to believe that the spirits are attempting to communicate or make themselves known. Many guests have described the unsettling experience of feeling gently touched by unseen hands. These touches are subtle, often flitting a brush against the arm, a light tap on the shoulder, or the faint sensation of fingers tracing along clothing. Though never violent, these interactions evoke a strong awareness of a presence, creating a connection between the living and the spirits who remain. One visitor recalled sitting quietly in the parlor when they felt the weight of a hand rest briefly on their shoulder, accompanied by a feeling of warmth and reassurance, as if the mansion itself were acknowledging their presence. Whispered conversations are yet another common phenomenon. Guests have reported hearing soft voices in empty parlors, as if people are speaking just out of earshot. Sometimes these whispers are indistinct, fragments of sentences or single words, while other times they carry a sense of urgency or emotion. Visitors often feel compelled to follow the sounds, only to find the rooms empty, leaving them with the lingering impression that the mansion is alive with echoes of the past. Paranormal investigators have recorded these whispers using sensitive audio equipment, capturing sounds that cannot be attributed to any living source. The Lothrop Mansion stands as a remarkable example of how history and haunting can coexist within a single residence. Its stately architecture and historical significance are only part of the story. The mansion's reputation for supernatural activity ensures that the past continues to occupy the present. Shadowy apparitions, cold spots, flickering lights, phantom touches, and whispered conversations create an atmosphere in which visitors can feel the presence of those who once called the mansion home. For anyone stepping inside the Lothrop Mansion today, the experience is unforgettable. The combination of elegance and eerie activity transforms it from a historic residence into a space where the past is never truly gone. Every room seems to carry the weight of its former inhabitants, and each corridor holds the possibility of encountering the unknown. The mansion remains a living testament to the enduring presence of history, memory, and the spirits that refuse to fade entirely. The Riggs House Apartments, located in the heart of downtown Washington, D.C., are more than just a residential complex built on historic land. Constructed on the grounds of the old Riggs property, a site steeped in local history, the apartments carry with them a reputation that extends far beyond their modern conveniences and urban location. Over the years, residents and visitors have reported a wide range of unexplained phenomena, transforming what might otherwise be a typical downtown dwelling into one of the city's most infamous haunted locations. From the echo of phantom footsteps to shadowy figures slipping through hallways, the Riggs House Apartments are a place where the past appears to linger, leaving traces of its presence for the living to encounter. Among the most commonly reported experiences are footsteps in vacant units. Residents frequently describe hearing the unmistakable sound of shoes striking the floor in apartments that are known to be unoccupied. The sound often moves deliberately through hallways, sometimes approaching and receding as if an invisible occupant is walking the corridors. One long-term resident recalled lying awake late at night when a series of measured footsteps began outside their door, pausing for a moment before continuing down the hall. Upon opening the door, no one was there, and the unit across the hall had been vacant for months. These auditory disturbances, though often subtle, leave an impression of presence, suggesting that unseen entities are still tied to the building. Doors slamming unexpectedly is another phenomenon frequently described by those living in the Riggs House Apartments. Tenants have reported doors closing with significant force or swinging open without explanation, often accompanied by sudden drafts or an uncanny stillness in the air. These events are not limited to any one floor or unit. They can occur in private apartments, common areas, or even stairwells. In some instances, residents have recounted the unsettling feeling of being followed by the sound of a door slamming repeatedly down an empty corridor. Maintenance staff, when investigating, have often found no mechanical or environmental explanation, further cementing the sense that the building itself is inhabited by unseen forces. The sensation of being watched is another hallmark of the Riggs House Apartments haunting. Tenants report an unsettling awareness, often described as a presence that follows them through hallways, stairwells, and even living rooms. This feeling is especially strong at night or when the apartments are otherwise empty. Many residents have recounted glancing into mirrors or across rooms to see fleeting shapes or movement out of the corner of their eyes, only for nothing to remain when they focus directly. Some have described a tangible pressure, as if invisible eyes are observing their every action, producing a constant undercurrent of tension that cannot be ignored. Shadow figures are among the most unnerving and visually disturbing reports. Witnesses have seen dark, human-shaped silhouettes gliding silently through the corridors, often vanishing the instant they are approached. These figures are described as featureless, more like voids of shadow than detailed apparitions, yet their presence is undeniable. One tenant recalled watching a dark figure descend the main stairwell late at night, only to disappear halfway down the steps. Paranormal enthusiasts speculate that these shadowy forms may be the residual energy of former occupants or staff, individuals who lived and worked on the Riggs property and remained tethered to the building even in death. Paranormal investigators have conducted multiple explorations of the Riggs House Apartments, documenting a variety of unusual activity. Using audio equipment, they have recorded disembodied voices, faint whispers, and sounds of movement that cannot be attributed to any living person. Thermal cameras and EMF meters have detected energy fluctuations and temperature anomalies in specific areas, reinforcing the impression that certain parts of the building are focal points for supernatural activity. Investigators suggest that the building's long history, combined with its continuous occupation over the decades, may have allowed emotional and spiritual energy to accumulate, resulting in the phenomena reported by residents. The historical significance of the Riggs property contributes to the building's haunted reputation. The land has been associated with influential families, major events, and the ebb and flow of urban life over centuries. Many theorists believe that the spirits lingering in the Riggs House apartments are connected to unresolved experiences, emotional intensity, or ties to the property itself. Some speculate that former servants or tenants who spent significant portions of their lives within the property's walls may continue to exist as imprints of energy, replaying fragments of their daily routines for those who enter the building. For those living in the Riggs House apartments, the experience of coexisting with unseen presences is both unnerving and strangely compelling. Tenants often describe a mix of fear and fascination, acknowledging the strange occurrences but adapting to their presence. Visitors to the building are equally captivated, drawn by reports of footsteps, slamming doors, shadow figures, and energy anomalies. The apartments are more than a residential space. They are a living testament to the layers of history embedded in the city, where the echoes of the past continue to manifest in the present. The Riggs House apartments stand as a remarkable example of how history, memory, and supernatural energy can converge within a single location. Footsteps echo through vacant units, doors move of their own accord, shadowy figures glide silently through corridors, and an invisible presence seems to watch every movement. For those who enter, the building offers more than housing. It provides a glimpse into the lingering spirit of a historic property, where the past has never truly left and the unseen continues to make itself known. The Decatur Apartments, located just steps away from the historic Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C., are more than a convenient residence near the city's iconic landmarks. The building, with its classic architectural style and proximity to the seat of American political life, carries with it a rich history that stretches back to the 19th century. Over the decades, the apartments have housed generations of residents, many of whom have left more than just memories behind. Tenants and visitors alike have reported experiences that suggest the presence of lingering spirits, making the Decatur Apartments one of the most intriguing haunted locations in the city. From sudden cold spots to moving objects, whispered voices, and fleeting silhouettes, the building seems to carry the echoes of its long-gone inhabitants in every hallway and living room. One of the most commonly reported phenomena in the Decatur Apartments is the sudden onset of cold spots. Residents describe walking into a room that feels warm and comfortable, only to be met with a sudden, bone-chilling chill. The sensation often seems localized, sometimes enveloping only part of a room, leaving those present with the unmistakable feeling of being watched. These cold spots are particularly prevalent in the older sections of the building, areas where the original 19th century architecture remains intact. Paranormal investigators equipped with thermal imaging cameras have recorded significant temperature drops in these rooms, with no mechanical or environmental explanation, suggesting that the chill may be linked to the presence of residual energy from past occupants. Objects moving on their own is another frequent and unsettling occurrence. Tenants have reported furniture slightly shifting positions, lamps tilting, or small items such as books or kitchenware mysteriously relocating. These movements are often subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but over time create a sense of unease as residents realize that the changes are not random. Some have even reported the sensation of objects being deliberately manipulated, as though an invisible hand is interacting with their environment. One tenant recounted a chair slowly sliding across the living room floor during the night, stopping only when they approached it, leaving them with the distinct impression that someone or something was aware of their presence. Whispered voices are another phenomenon frequently reported throughout the apartments. Tenants often hear murmured conversations when no one else is present. Voices so soft that the words are often indistinct but clearly human. Some describe the whispers as conversational, as if former residents were discussing daily matters, while others sense urgency or emotion in the tones, hinting at unresolved events from the building's past. The sounds have been reported in both hallways and individual units, creating an unsettling feeling that the past is constantly lingering just beyond perception. Paranormal enthusiasts who have investigated the building have recorded faint, unexplained audio on sensitive equipment, capturing fragments of speech that cannot be attributed to any living person. Faint silhouettes in the hallways and living rooms are among the most visually compelling manifestations. Residents have reported glimpsing dark, human-shaped figures moving silently across the rooms, often vanishing the moment they are observed directly. Some figures appear to be dressed in the attire of the 19th century, suggesting a direct link to the original inhabitants of the apartments. One tenant described seeing a figure pause near a window, as if gazing outside, only to disappear entirely when approached. These fleeting apparitions, while rare, are particularly memorable for those who encounter them, leaving a lasting impression that the building is far from empty. Paranormal investigators suggest that the Decatur apartment's history plays a significant role in the haunting. The building has stood for over a century, witnessing the lives, struggles, and routines of countless residents. Many of these individuals may have died within the property, and their strong attachments to the home could explain why their presence persists. Investigators note that many reported occurrences, cold spots, moving objects, whispers, and silhouettes concentrate in areas that were most used by residents in the past, such as parlors, stairwells, and main living areas. The consistency of these reports lends credence to the idea that the apartment building serves as a repository for residual energy. For tenants today, living in the Decatur apartments offers a unique combination of charm and unease. The elegant architecture, historic location, and sense of continuity with the past create an environment steeped in history. However, the persistent paranormal activity ensures that every shadowed corner, flickering light, and unexplained sound carries with it the weight of the building's past. Residents often report a mix of curiosity and apprehension, finding themselves both fascinated and unsettled by the subtle presence that seems to linger just out of sight. The Decatur apartments stand as a remarkable example of how a building's history can persist in subtle, mysterious ways. Cold spots, moving objects, whispering voices, and fleeting silhouettes provide glimpses into a past that refuses to remain buried. Visitors and tenants alike are left with the impression that the building's former residents have not entirely departed, continuing to inhabit the apartments alongside the living. In this way, the Decatur apartments offer more than just a place to stay. They offer a connection to the past, a haunting reminder that the lives once lived within its walls continue to echo through time. The Seton House, located in the heart of Capitol Hill, is a historic building that stands as a silent witness to centuries of Washington, D.C.'s rich and complex past. With its classic architectural design, stately brick facade, and elegant interior, the building carries the charm of its era, yet it has long been associated with unexplained and eerie phenomena. Guests, residents, and visitors have reported a range of paranormal occurrences, from echoing footsteps in empty rooms to flickering lights, shifting objects, and shadowy figures that seem to appear without warning. Over time, the Seton House has earned a reputation as one of Capitol Hill's most haunted locations, with its proximity to political power and its centuries-long history often cited as contributing factors to the strange and unsettling events reported there. Among the most common and persistent experiences are the sounds of footsteps echoing through empty rooms. Visitors often describe the deliberate pacing of someone moving across the hardwood floors, sometimes in slow, measured steps, other times brisk and urgent. These footsteps frequently occur during the late hours of the night when the building is otherwise empty, leaving a profound sense of unease in their wake. One long-term visitor recalled sitting in a dimly lit sitting room when the sound of boots approaching grew steadily louder, only to dissipate abruptly as they stood to investigate. Rooms that have remained unoccupied for decades have echoed with similar sounds, suggesting that the building itself retains the traces of those who once lived or worked within it. Flickering lights are another phenomenon often reported at the Seton House. Electrical fixtures, lamps, and chandeliers have been known to dim, blink, or flicker without explanation, sometimes in patterns that seem almost intentional. Guests recount the experience of reading or working late in their rooms when the lights suddenly sputtered, leaving them in partial darkness for several moments before returning to normal. In many instances, these events coincide with other unexplained occurrences, such as cold drafts or the sense of being watched, suggesting that the flickering may be connected to the presence of residual energy or unseen entities inhabiting the space. Shifting objects are a particularly unnerving aspect of the building's haunting. Guests and residents have reported items moving without physical cause, chairs subtly sliding across floors, books or papers being displaced, and small personal objects appearing in different locations than where they had been left. These movements are often subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but their cumulative effect leaves a strong impression of an unseen force actively interacting with the environment. One visitor described a writing desk drawer opening on its own while they were seated nearby. The small items inside rearranged as though someone invisible had handled them with care. Such occurrences reinforce the sense that the Seton House is not merely a building, but a space in which the past continues to exert influence on the present. Perhaps the most visually striking reports involve shadowy figures seen in windows or along the hallways late at night. Witnesses describe dark silhouettes, often human-shaped, that seem to glide silently through the corridors or stand motionless near the edges of rooms. These figures are typically featureless, appearing as shadows rather than fully formed apparitions, yet their presence is unmistakable. One visitor recalled seeing a figure standing at the end of a dimly lit hallway, only to vanish as they approached, leaving an unsettling impression that the building itself was alive with unseen activity. Many believe these shadows represent former residents or workers, lingering in the spaces they once occupied, or perhaps observers of the building's ongoing life. The Seton House's long history and proximity to the centers of political power in Capitol Hill are often cited as contributing factors to its paranormal activity. The building has witnessed generations of residents, staff, and visitors, each leaving behind subtle imprints of their lives and energies. Some historians and paranormal investigators suggest that the intense human activity, emotional energy, and historic significance of the site have allowed these imprints to accumulate over time, creating an environment where residual hauntings or intelligent spirits may manifest. The building's walls, hallways, and rooms act as a repository for these lingering energies, preserving echoes of the past for those attuned to notice them. Paranormal investigations of the Seton House have documented temperature anomalies, unexplained sounds, and occasional electromagnetic disturbances, further reinforcing the impression that the building is more than a simple residence. Audio recordings have captured faint whispers, doors opening on their own, and footsteps echoing down empty hallways, while thermal imaging has recorded sudden cold spots in areas previously thought insulated from drafts. These findings, combined with first-hand accounts from tenants and visitors, create a compelling case that the Seton House carries a strong and persistent spectral presence. For those who spend time in the Seton House, the experience is both fascinating and unsettling. The echo of footsteps, flickering lights, moving objects, and shadowy figures create an atmosphere in which the past seems to coexist with the present. Visitors often find themselves aware of the lingering presence of former residents, sensing that the building itself holds memory, history, and consciousness in ways that defy explanation. The Seton House stands as a testament to the enduring nature of history and the mysteries it can leave behind. Its elegant architecture, combined with the persistent paranormal activity, creates a unique environment where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist. Every hall, room, and staircase carries the possibility of revealing the unseen, offering a glimpse into the lives that once filled the building and the spectral echoes that continue to inhabit it today. Halcyon House, located in northwest Washington, D.C., is a striking example of historic architecture. Once a grand stately home, and now a residence that has attracted attention for reasons beyond its elegance and heritage. Over the years, the house has become widely known for its paranormal activity, with both residents and visitors reporting experiences that suggest a lingering spectral presence. From mysterious voices and moving furniture to sudden cold spots and shadowy figures, the Halcyon House appears to be a place where the past continues to exist alongside the present. Paranormal investigators have documented unexplained EMF readings, temperature fluctuations, and other anomalies that lend credibility to these haunting accounts, making the Halcyon House one of Northwest D.C.'s most enigmatic residences. One of the most frequently reported experiences at the Halcyon House is the sensation of hearing voices when no one else is present. Tenants describe whispers that seem to emanate from hallways, stairwells, or even empty rooms, faint but unmistakably human. Some report hearing complete phrases or snippets of conversation, while others detect only murmurs or sighs that give the impression of a presence just beyond perception. These voices often seem to follow individuals through the house, appearing in one room and fading as they move into another, as if unseen occupants are observing or interacting with the living. Paranormal investigators have recorded similar audio anomalies, capturing sounds that cannot be traced to any living person or mechanical source, suggesting that the voices may indeed originate from an unseen dimension. Furniture moving on its own is another hallmark of the house's haunted reputation. Chairs and small tables have been reported to shift slightly, while heavier objects sometimes move enough to be noticed, causing unease among residents. In one notable account, a tenant reported a chair sliding across the floor in the dining room while they were seated nearby, as if gently nudged by an invisible hand. Other residents have described kitchen items being displaced, drawers opening or closing, and objects falling from shelves without explanation. These movements often occur in areas that are historically significant within the house, suggesting that the spirits responsible may have a connection to the past events or people associated with those spaces. Cold spots are another common occurrence, reported throughout the Halcyon House, but particularly in hallways, stairwells, and corners of larger rooms. Residents often describe entering a room that feels perfectly normal, only to be met with a sudden, chilling drop in temperature. The sensation is frequently accompanied by the feeling of being watched, an invisible presence seemingly observing their every action. Investigators have used thermal imaging cameras and thermometers to measure these temperature anomalies, documenting sudden shifts that defy conventional explanation. The consistency and recurrence of these cold spots indicate that they are more than coincidental drafts or faulty heating systems, but part of a broader pattern of unexplained phenomena. Shadow figures are perhaps the most visually striking manifestation of activity at the Halcyon House. Guests and tenants alike report glimpsing dark, humanoid shapes moving silently along staircases and hallways. These figures are typically featureless, appearing as vague silhouettes rather than fully formed apparitions, yet their presence is undeniable. One visitor describes seeing a shadowy form standing at the top of the main staircase, observing silently before disappearing as they approached. Another reported glimpsing a figure move across the hallway and vanish behind a partially closed door. These shadowy apparitions often appear at the edges of vision, intensifying the sense of mystery and unease that pervades the house. Paranormal investigators who have explored Halcyon House have noted unusual electromagnetic field (EMF) readings and energy fluctuations in certain areas of the residence. EMF meters often spike unexpectedly, even when no electrical devices are in use. And temperature sensors have recorded sudden variations that correspond with reported sightings or auditory phenomena. Many experts believe that these anomalies indicate a concentrated presence of residual or intelligent energy within the house, combined with first-hand reports from residents. These findings provide compelling evidence that Halcyon House is more than just an architecturally significant building. It is a place where the supernatural appears to be active. The historical significance of Halcyon House contributes to its enduring mystique. As a home that has seen generations pass through its doors, it has witnessed countless events, from everyday domestic life to notable social gatherings. Many believe that the emotional intensity and personal histories of past occupants may have left imprints on the house, allowing spirits to remain tied to the property. Some suggest that certain individuals experience traumatic or emotionally charged events within the home, which could account for the recurring spectral manifestations and energy anomalies. For those who reside in or visit Halcyon House today, the experiences are often both unsettling and fascinating. The combination of moving furniture, whispered voices, cold spots, and shadow figures creates an atmosphere where the past feels vividly present. Visitors frequently report a heightened awareness of unseen presences, and even skeptics find themselves questioning the ordinary explanations for the unusual occurrences. Halcyon House stands as a compelling example of how history, architecture, and human experience can intersect to create a space imbued with mystery. Its grand design and storied past provide the backdrop for experiences that defy conventional understanding. And each corridor, staircase, and room seems to hold a memory that has not fully faded. From the faintest whispers to the coldest chill, the house reminds all who enter that the spirits of the past may still linger, quietly observing and occasionally interacting with the living who now occupy its halls. The Eaton residence, nestled in the lively and eclectic neighborhood of Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C., is more than just a striking example of historic urban architecture. Beyond its charming facade and vibrant surroundings, the residence has long been associated with reports of paranormal activity, drawing the curiosity of residents, neighbors, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Over the years, tenants have recounted experiences that suggest the lingering presence of spirits who once called the Eaton residence home. Whispered conversations, doors moving on their own, faint music echoing through empty rooms, and shadowy figures appearing in corners or near stairwells have all contributed to the building's haunted reputation, making it one of Adams Morgan's most intriguing and mysterious properties. Among the most frequently reported phenomena are the whispered conversations that seem to drift through the residence. Tenants often describe hearing voices in hallways, stairwells, or empty rooms, with no one else present to explain the sounds. Sometimes these whispers are faint, almost imperceptible, while other times they carry enough clarity to suggest that someone or something is actively communicating. A long-term resident recalled sitting in the living room late at night when a soft murmur began nearby. The voices seemed to rise and fall as if engaged in a conversation, fading away the moment the resident tried to locate its source. Such experiences create an unnerving sense of presence, as if the past occupants of the Eaton residence are continuing their routines, unaware, perhaps indifferent to, the living world around them. Doors opening and closing on their own are another common and unsettling occurrence. Tenants have reported entering a room to find a door ajar that had previously been closed, or witnessing a door swing open with no discernible force behind it. In some instances, the movement seems deliberate, almost as though the building itself is reacting to the presence of an observer. One tenant described hearing the distinctive creak of a door moving in the hallway while reading in the adjoining room, only to find the doorway completely still when they went to investigate. These incidents often coincide with other forms of paranormal activity, such as whispers or sudden temperature drops, suggesting that the house is an active participant in the strange events. Faint music drifting through empty rooms is another hallmark of the Eaton residence's haunting. Tenants have reported hearing soft strains of piano or string instruments emanating from spaces where no instruments are present. The music is often melodic, but incomplete, as if replaying a fragment of a performance from decades past. One resident recounted sitting quietly in the parlor when the faint sound of piano keys echoed from the corner of the room. Yet upon approaching, no piano or player was visible. These auditory phenomena are often fleeting, vanishing as quickly as they appear. But they leave a lingering impression of life that once filled the house, a subtle reminder that the energy of past inhabitants remains entwined with the space. Shadowy figures are among the most visually compelling manifestations in the Eaton residence. Guests and tenants have reported glimpsing dark silhouettes near stairwells, along hallways, or in the corners of rooms. These figures are often fleeting, vanishing as soon as they are observed directly, yet their presence is unmistakable. One resident describes seeing a tall, dark figure descend the main staircase late at night, disappearing into the shadows before they could reach the bottom. Many who have witnessed these apparitions believe them to be the spirits of former residents, bound to the home by emotional attachment or unresolved connections. Paranormal investigators have examined the Eaton residence on multiple occasions, noting subtle energy shifts, unexplained noises, and temperature fluctuations in certain areas of the building. EMF meters have recorded spikes in regions where shadows or sounds are most frequently reported, while thermal imaging has revealed sudden cold spots that cannot be attributed to drafts or faulty heating. Audio recordings have captured faint whispers and indistinct murmurs, further supporting claims of supernatural activity. The Eaton residence is more than a haunted house. It is a living chronicle of the people who have occupied it over the years. Each hallway, staircase, and parlor holds echoes of laughter, conversation, and private moments that may have left a lingering impression on the building itself. For tenants, living in the residence is an experience that combines the ordinary with the extraordinary, where everyday life is punctuated by moments that defy rational explanation. Even casual visitors often report a sense of being observed or a sudden awareness of a presence, leaving them with the realization that the Eaton residence is a place where history continues to inhabit the present. From whispered conversations and moving doors to faint music and shadowy figures, the Eaton residence offers a unique glimpse into the persistence of the past. Its reputation for hauntings has endured across generations, reminding all who enter that the home's former residents may never have truly left. Each encounter, no matter how fleeting, reinforces the idea that the Eaton residence is a space where the living and the spectral exist side by side, quietly shaping the atmosphere of one of Adams Morgan's most historic and mysterious homes. Thank you for joining us on this eerie journey through Washington, D.C.'s most haunted apartments. From historic boarding houses to grand mansions, these buildings remind us that the past never truly leaves. It lingers in the shadows, whispering its stories to those who dare to listen. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more haunted tales and paranormal adventures. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes the walls themselves hold the memories of those who came before.